The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
I look at the Lions tonight. I look at Jahmyr Gibbs. I look at David Montgomery. I look at Amon-Ra St. Brown. They've got the kind of skill players that I think you can ride to a long playoff run. But then the Lions skill players on Chiefs. I think the Chiefs win pretty handily tonight.
Mike Danger.
By the way, doesn't it feel great to have sports back in our life? It's just awesome.
There's a lot of unknowns. Now on both sides too, but I think this is going to be the most difficult game of the year for the Bills to win. And really, because of that, because it's hard to prepare for it.
Gene Battaglia.
I said that, and even I kind of turned it around. It's like you have Patrick Mahomes, and look at how the cast is changing around him.
NFL football is now less than 12 hours away, but will Chiefs-Lions include Travis Kelce, the KC tight end, officially questionable after suffering a reported bone bruise?
Travis Kelce, he needs to be able to run, juke, stop and turn on a dime. There's potentially an opportunity here for the Lions.
The Chiefs have the best odds to win the Super Bowl still. Won it last year. They've got Patrick Mahomes, who's got the best odds to win the MVP.
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Welcome on into the Sports Bar. It is Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM, AM 950. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year! You say this every opening night.
Happy New Year. The NFL gets underway tonight. By far and away, that is what has us enthusiastic today, and we will be talking a lot about tonight's NFL kickoff between the Chiefs and the Lions. We'll be talking a lot about this weekend's action in the NFL. We are excited and stoked that professional football is back in our lives.
It's going to be fantastic. Chiefs and Lions tonight. Boy, you turned back the clock 1 year ago. We were getting ready for the Buffalo Bills in this matchup, and they throttled the Rams. And funny how you can go from Super Bowl defending champion 1 year to, oh my gosh, they might be the number one overall pick in the Rams. But for the Buffalo Bills, well, we're going to have a little extra time with them being on Monday night. They were back at practice today. Micah Hyde a little limited. We'll be talking about the Bills. And today is a very special day here in the Sports Bar because some shows give predictions. We don't do that. Bold predictions.
We have our bold predictions. And we'll be sharing them with you throughout the course of the afternoon here in the Sports Bar. Listen, we're as good as you are, so we would love to hear your bold predictions for the upcoming NFL season. And when we say bold predictions, I just want to clarify, come strong. Bold is bold for a reason. Don't come with the prediction of, I think the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl. Not a bold prediction. A lot of people have the Bills winning the Super Bowl. Don't come with a prediction of, Damar Hamlin, your comeback player of the year. Yeah, he's already your comeback player. It's not a bold prediction. We know he's going to be the comeback player of the year. He's breathing. He's getting that award. Not a bold prediction.
Well, you can say, take it a step further. If you want to be in on the fun and say, I do think the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl. And I think actually that you go masterstroke. They're going to go 16-1,
right.
Something along those lines.
Right.
Like that's what we're looking for here. Or they're going to win the Super Bowl as the 7th seed. They're going to get in, but they'll catch fire at the right time. Give us kind of your story here.
Sure. Don't come in here and tell us that ice cream is delicious and puppies are cute. We want bold predictions. We want your boldest takes for the upcoming NFL season. And we'll be sharing ours throughout the course of the afternoon here in the Sports Bar. We're also going to sprinkle in some of our favorites as we talk about tonight's action. We talk about this weekend in fantasy football. He's back for another season with us in the Sports Bar from Yahoo Fantasy Sports, joining us here in about 20 minutes, the great Andy Behrens.
All right, so you have likely had your fantasy draft. Maybe some are drafting tonight.
Possibly.
I can't imagine. Possibly. Maybe some this weekend, and you're going to do it retroactively. We do that in baseball in my league. But the point being, Andy Behrens coming on. So, well, if Travis Kelce is going to give it a go tonight, do you really trust him? What is the opinion of Andy Behrens in this situation? And when it comes to, say, Yahoo Fantasy Leagues right now, who didn't get drafted? Is it too soon to start thinking all right, let's look at the waiver wire here. How can we kind of tweak our lineup here, tweak the back end of our roster? We'll be talking things fantasy, help you get a week 1 win. Winning week 1 is just as important as any other week. So Andy Behrens will be joining us here shortly.
And our buddy PJ Glasser, the host of BetQL's Send It In, stops by on a Thursday afternoon at 4:25. We will be talking to PJ and getting his thoughts on week 1 in the NFL. Also, this weekend's college football action. Insider calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app.
Something's off here, and PJ's going to address this, and I don't know where he's going to come down on this. Colorado, Nebraska. We're all paying attention, right? Wow, we are all excited. Colorado, home opener, coming off that win. Wait, they're only favored by 3? Do you know that at BetMGM right now, 87% of the dollars are on Colorado?
Makes sense.
Well, that really hasn't moved the line all that much. So is this just, wait a sec. I'm just like, whoa, whoop, whoop, whoop. Is this going to be a letdown for Colorado at home? Or is PJ going to tell us, no, join the 87%? PJ Glasser will also give us a pick on Bills Jets and other picks coming up in the 4 o'clock hour.
You can join us on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. That number is 866-4FAN. That's award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub in the new location at 135 West Commercial Street in East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com. We sound our best in the free-to-download Odyssey app. We encourage you to check us out in there, where you can go back and listen to any part of the show you may have missed with Odyssey Rewind. And also the stream, up for you now to watch the Sports Bar. We're on at The Fan Rochester on YouTube and also on Twitch. The table is set.
So I put this out on Twitter, and I love when we kind of divide an audience there.
It's a good take. Good takes always split an audience.
And most people had like this kind of like the same pushback, and I get that. But when you're watching tonight and you're watching the Lions defense, are we going to be wondering what Jack Campbell would have looked like at middle linebacker? We've been saying this since about mid-camp, like, wait a second, this isn't right. There's really nobody here stepping up, and you're going to be playing the New York Jets, and we still don't know yet. Hope Bernard's the guy. Maybe Kirksey can get it together, but I'm just wondering, was that actually plan A all along that the Bills had? Well, this guy's going to be available here coming up at pick 25. Maybe we got to I'm talking about Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell, the Iowa linebacker. If we go back to April, we were drooling over. We were thinking, wow, this is exactly what you want. Big, strong, somebody who's going to not miss a tackle. And is he going to be making plays tonight to help the Detroit Lions? Chances are he's going to make a play, and we'll just kind of wonder. And look, Sal Capaccio writing back to me. Like, even if they were faced with Campbell versus Kincaid, Kincaid would have a much bigger impact and in the future. I get that. Like, some other guy, Zach, writing back to me, shoulda, coulda, woulda, just enjoy the game tonight. Of course I'm going to enjoy the game tonight. I'm just asking.
I love that guy just kind of called you out for being like, God, Gene, God, you're so neurotic. Just enjoy the game tonight, buddy. It's okay if Jack Campbell has a good game. We won't have that guy's calling you out, Gino. He's calling you out.
I guess so.
Your personality's coming through on X.
On X, I guess. Yes, it might be a little neurotic. I will admit that, but can we just kind of point out that what the Bills have at middle linebacker? Would you not rather have Jack Campbell? And yes, the road led you to Dalton Kincaid. So of course, like it's hard to kind of. We'll never know who's really.
I might push back a little bit on Dalton Kincaid. Long term is a better solution. I mean, we don't know what either of those guys are right now, Dalton Kincaid or Jack Campbell. But, man, it feels to me, just given how this offseason progressed and how the preseason went at middle linebacker, that whatever plan they had, they ended up executing their contingency plan, that this was the backup plan. It was never really going to be Tyrel Dodson or Terrell Bernard, that they didn't feel confident enough in either of those two guys to start, because here you are the week of week 1 announcing, it's going to be Terrell Bernard, a guy who we didn't see once in a preseason game. So it hasn't gone to plan. Whatever their plan was, it blew up in their face, and that allows you to believe that the plan was, we're going to draft Jack Campbell. Yeah. That's the guy we want.
Yeah, if Campbell was there at 20... Remember, the Bills traded up. We should say they traded up for Kincaid, and if that was plan A or plan B, I think most Bills fans are happy with that, but you cannot be happy because if you're Aaron Rodgers right now, you're salivating at this idea. Like Conklin, a tight end. Is he going to make Conklin a star coming up Monday night? Or are we going to be worried about Dalvin Cook? Last time Dalvin Cook faced the Buffalo Bills, he ran for 100 yards. Granted, a lot of it came on one carry, but still. They have Breece Hall there too. Yeah, that's a good running attack they have with the New York Jets.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. That's one of the many things we'll be watching tonight as the NFL gets its season underway. Jack Campbell there in the middle of the defense for the Detroit Lions. And who will he be guarding, protecting, going after? Who will he be shielding when we don't really know what the status of tight end Travis Kelce is? We know that he worked out this morning. We know that he's dealing with what looks like a knee bruise or some swelling there, I guess, and it's just going to be a matter of can he go out there. We do know that in his career, since becoming a starter in 2014, he's missed 3 games. 2 of those games, he was being rested for a playoff run, and the 3rd game was COVID. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't really miss games due to injury. He may be injured all the time, but he doesn't necessarily miss games. And then you have to wonder, how effective will he actually be? And just as a precautionary measure, you have the Chiefs today calling up their backup tight end from the practice squad, which is kind of like a safety net, right?
Sure. I don't think it's, smoke there. We're going to kind of fool it's actually going to be Travis Kelce. They're preparing for Kelce. If this were a divisional game, you might be, inclined to say he'll be out there. If it was the Chargers, Raiders, or Broncos, it's not even a conference game. It's the Lions, the NFC. And truthfully, I think Kansas City can win this game tonight without Travis Kelce and Chris Jones. Now, there's a story that Chris Jones actually may be in the building tonight, that they're trying to work something out where he'll be sitting and watching the game from a suite as they raise the banner. So at least the Chiefs are trying to do the right thing and hey, this is a night that we're going to celebrate what we did last year, and it's kind of the last thing, and you were a big part of this. But he's not going to be on the field tonight. Peter writing it. Okay, so again, if you're just tuning in, it's bold prediction day, and by bold we mean kind of bring it. 866-4FAN, 866-4-326. And if you write into us on X, we're going to write all this stuff down, and we're going to read it back to you in January.
Yeah.
Peter has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I love this. Jets win the Super Bowl. Peter, we know you. That's
That's a Jets fan.
Honk, honk, homer. Miami Dolphins missed the playoffs. Okay. Giants win the NFC East. Stetson Bennett gets 5 starts for the Rams.
Man, how bad have things gone if Stetson Bennett is getting 5 starts for the Rams?
I think maybe if that's the plan to tank, maybe you will see that. Brock Purdy, the MVP.
That one I love. I love that bold prediction. Peter, that one I'm kind of jealous that I didn't say that one myself. Brock Purdy as MVP is a bold prediction. I like that a lot.
I think that Brock Purdy is the type of guy there where I could say, you know what, my bold prediction is going to be Brock Purdy will flame out, and he's going to be so bad that by October we're going to be seeing Sam Darnold.
All right, give me your first one, Gino. Just so we can kind of set a tone here and let all of y'all know what we're talking about when we talk about bold predictions at 866-4326.
Okay. You're not going to like this one. Jordan Love will lead the Packers to the NFC North title, and his competent quarterback play will make everyone say that Ted Thompson was right in drafting him and keeping him around and getting to this point. Fun stat. In Jordan Love's 4 starts last year, you don't go by QBR that often, and it's kind of a questionable stat, but let me throw this at you. Jordan Love's QBR was 82. Do you know that would have had him ranked where had he played a full year? Not 5th, not 4th, not 3rd. 1st! So better than Hurts, better than Allen, better than Mahomes.
4 starts. 4 starts in relief of Aaron Rodgers when? I'm trying to remember when he got those starts.
Rodgers got dinged last year and then came back.
Oh, did he miss time last year?
Yes.
I know Rodgers was hurt last year, but I can't remember him missing time. I don't remember him. See, you gotta forgive me because as somebody who suffers Stockholm syndrome, from all the years of Aaron Rodgers and prior to him, Brett Favre.
Right.
It all blurs together.
Right. And then and my take on it was Aaron Rodgers was like, okay, he could have easily sat out the rest of the season, but when he saw Love playing well, it was like, no, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
I'm waving my finger.
Yeah.
Look, so Jordan Love, again, small sample size,
Four
but
games.
last year taking a step forward. And what I love about the situation, sorry for that pun, didn't mean that, is that Love has the cast ready to go. Defense, running game, young receivers. Mike Danger, I'm not gonna stop there. I'm taking a step further. The Green Bay Packers make the NFC Championship game.
Ooh.
Bold.
That's bold.
Bold. And look at the division. Sorry, the Bears, are they really? Kirk Cousins. Ooh, yeah.
No contract, no long-term deal for Kirk Cousins.
No.
Last year in Minnesota.
Yeah, we like the Lions, but are they really going to mature and win? Green Bay is the team in that division.
Okay. All right.
Does that qualify as bold?
I think that's bold. Yeah, because right now Vegas thinks Green Bay will finish last in that division. That's a bold. That's akin to saying the Colts would win the AFC South.
I wrote this not, trying to get under your skin because I know how much that would drive you nuts.
No, if Jordan Love does well, that means that I'm a fantasy drafting guru because that's who I took as my second quarterback.
You're hedging. Your real fandom is you are hedging your real fandom as a Bears fan.
No, I'm realistic as a Bears fan. And by the way, as a Bears fan going into, and I do have a prediction that involves the Bears that we'll share later on this afternoon, but anything is better than last year. They're the worst team in the league last year. So for me to come on today and say the Bears are a playoff team would be a bold prediction. I'm not going to do it because I'm a fan and I have realistic expectations. Anything better than it shouldn't be hard to do better than last year. And even that might not be enough to satiate Bear fans. So we will, I don't hate your prediction. I like that as a bold prediction. And I want to not like Jordan Love. But I don't know what I don't know. We haven't seen enough of him to know just how good he might be and how much of it might be LaFleur and how he's worked with him this entire time.
Well, Aaron Rodgers. Can we agree Aaron Rodgers, he's the opposite of coachable? Like Rodgers.
He's doing his own thing.
Right.
He's drawing up plays in the dirt.
So if you have Love in there and they're playing complementary football up in Green Bay and they're ugling things up here and there, I'm not saying Jordan Love's going to be this MVP candidate. I'm just saying he's going to lead them to wins.
All right. Well, since you brought up the Bears, I'll share this bold prediction. Because it sort of involves the Bears, but more around the NFL. And again, we're sharing our NFL bold predictions for the 2023 season. We would love to hear yours at 866-4326. You can also reach out to us on X at The Fan Rochester. At season's end, 9 teams will be looking for new head coaches.
Whoa. Would that be a record?
Three coaches this year will be one and done.
Wow. Three. Okay, do you have...
Impatient owners, right?
Okay.
Impatient owners.
Can I guess who you have as the three?
Go ahead.
Gannon.
Yep.
Steichen.
Nope.
Frank Reich.
Yes.
Who's the other?
Ryans.
Oh, that would be a mistake.
Well, that's the Texans. Here are the teams. Arizona, you mentioned. Ron Rivera, out in Washington. The Chargers. Staley, get out of here. The Rams. He barely came back this year. If they finish poor, and I think there's more sinister things at play in L.A., if Lincoln Riley does what we think he'll do at USC this year, don't you think one of those pro teams will want to kind of get some of that USC shine in their facility?
If you can bring the quarterback with you and convince him, because he could stay, he doesn't have to come out, blah, blah, blah.
Arizona, Washington, Chargers, Rams, Raiders, Panthers, you mentioned Frank Reich, Texans, Seattle.
Seattle?
Yeah, I think this is it for Pete Carroll. And the Bears. Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. Get that name familiar because he's going to be the hot candidate along with another round for guys like Ejiro Evero from the Panthers. Panthers quarterbacks coach Josh McCown, Oh, Houston will get their guy. Josh McCown getting his experience in Carolina this year. Houston will get their guy. Josh McCown. How about Mike Kafka, Giants offensive coordinator? Mentioned Lincoln Riley. I think he'll be a name that gets thrown about. And someone, and one of these arrogant owners, will do their best to lure away Coach Prime, and Coach Prime will not budge.
So the only one I would disagree with is, unless Carroll, you're saying, is going to walk away on his own. But Jody Allen loves himself some Pete Carroll. As long as that team is in this trust, she's not going to get rid of him.
My thought on that is they won't have the same kind of success this year that they had last year. I think last year they were a surprise story and nobody really saw it. We thought they were tanking this time last year, right? Geno Smith. And it turns out Pete Carroll is a good football coach, and he was right about Russell Wilson. I just think that this year they'll face enough adversities where he kind of starts to question, like, all right, do I need this anymore? I'm up there. I probably don't. And he just walks away. Walks away after a kind of a middling season where they're farting around. There you go. There's Gino's first and my first bold prediction. We'd love to hear yours throughout the course of the afternoon at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326. Let's talk some fantasy football next as you're getting set to set your week one lineups in fantasy. Andy Behrens, Yahoo Fantasy Sports, joins us for his weekly visit Thursdays, 3:25. We'll get the best fantasy advice out there from our buddy Andy next here in the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Odyssey has sports for every update.
And so it begins tonight. It's the Chiefs and the Lions opening night in Kansas City. Tight end Travis Kelce is a game-time decision. We'll talk to Andy Behrens, Yahoo Fantasy, coming up next here in the Sports Bar. From Bills practice today, Micah Hyde, limited with a back injury, but he should be okay for Monday night in New York. Hyde, the only Buffalo Bill on the Thursday injury report. Bills and Jets are pregame coverage Monday. Will begin at 4 o'clock here on the Sports Leader. Rochester Red Wings coming off a loss in Syracuse. They're in action tonight, once again in the Salt City. All the action in baseball under the lights tonight, including the Yankees finishing up their series at home against Detroit. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Today, save half off to any gaming package at Lasertron in Henrietta. Gene Battaglia in the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Neat or on the rocks? It's the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
The start of another NFL season tonight in Kansas City. The start of another fantasy season. And when we talk fantasy every week during the regular season, we talk to our guy, Andy Behrens, back with us in the Sports Bar from Yahoo Fantasy. Andy, it's great to have you back on. Excited for another season. The roller coaster ride is about to begin. And boy, it started a little bit prematurely. None of us really saw Travis Kelce being the headline going into tonight's game, yet here we are wondering if the star tight end is going to give it a go. How are you, bud?
Well, I'm good. Normally, this time of year, early September, it's like the whole season is just sort of stretched out before you, full of promise. Everybody's healthy. Everything's looking good. But I have all these rosters now with 5 guys sitting there in my active roster who have questionable tags. Really worried about Kelce. He was, he's probably not my most rostered player, but I think I was a little bit higher on him in the first round than most. So I've got a lot of him. It's just like we don't see a lot of this. I mean, significant injury on the Tuesday before a Thursday night opener is pretty wild. But it does at least sound like even if he doesn't play tonight, it sounds like he's dodged the worst possible news.
Yeah, and so this is the million-dollar question, Andy. If he does play, hey, he's active, are we just using our blind faith that that's Travis Kelce and that's going to be the same Travis Kelce? Or it all depends on what you have behind him. Are you like you would play a Waller, I would assume maybe, but Sam Laporta, like where would be the line in terms of making a decision on Travis Kelce if indeed he is active tonight?
Yeah, the thing is almost no one drafted their way into a situation in which they have like a brand name luxury tight end behind him, right? Like if you took the whole point of taking Travis Kelce was so that you didn't have to mess around with like that middle tier of, Dallas Goedert and whoever else. And they're all fine players, right? But none of them produced like a healthy Travis Kelce. So I really doubt that very many people have great options. I would not even, I'm a huge Sam Laporta fan, and I feel like I've made a lot of promises this summer about what Sam Laporta can do, but I still wouldn't play Sam Laporta over an active Travis Kelce. I mean, because you're not just talking about like an inner circle Hall of Fame player in Travis Kelce. You're talking about the best and most inventive quarterback in the game in Patrick Mahomes, right? That's like, it's an almost unfair situation. If he plays and he's limited, I would still take 25 or 30 snaps from Travis Kelce, assuming that they're going to use him near the goal line, assuming that they're going to use him in the most important areas of the field. So there's no way I'm shying away from Travis Kelce.
Andy, early in the season, we all collect data points and we all want to kind of see early on who's doing what and then use it as we head into the following weeks and make the most educated decisions we can when we're setting our lineup. So in tonight's game, what specifically are you looking at? Are you watching the backfield of Kansas City and seeing how they deploy Pacheco versus potentially McKinnon? Are you looking at the Gibbs-Montgomery split in the Detroit backfield? What has your eye in tonight's game?
Yeah, I'll give you three things, and you hit on two of them. The first is not just like I think we know what it would look like if it were just Pacheco and McKinnon. There's an open question as to whether Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still involved, right? Because he was pretty involved in the preseason. That could be a three-person committee, and everybody likes Pacheco, but Pacheco was sidelined a lot during camp. I think McKinnon is the guy whose role we know the best. That's somebody who he can't produce over a full season like he did in the final 6 weeks last year when he had 9 touchdowns. But I'll tell you what, if Kelsey doesn't go tonight, McKinnon's a pretty strong start because McKinnon was like a security blanket receiver for Mahomes down the stretch. So that's one thing. The other thing is, do David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs just sort of slide neatly into exactly what the team was doing with DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, or does it tilt a little bit more toward Gibbs, who, I mean, everybody's seen the video of the Detroit front office when they drafted him. It was an absurd celebration. It was like a raise the banner sort of celebration. And certain promises have been made throughout the offseason that they have big plans, vague, big plans for Jahmyr Gibbs. So I'm probably more interested in seeing what his role looks like. Does he actually split out wide ever? Is he like, how creatively do they use him and how often they use him? And then the other thing that interests me is going to be Sky Moore, because we think that Sky Moore is just sort of stepping in to Juju Smith-Schuster's role from last year, which was like 100 targets. And if Sky Moore, who did, it's pretty quiet last year, but really talented, and obviously faced came from like a directional Michigan, right? So there's a learning curve stepping into Andy Reid's offense. If he really gets 100 targets, if he gets that sort of Juju-sized role with Kansas City, that's gonna be 900 plus yards, maybe 1,000 yards, maybe a half dozen touchdowns. So he's going to be a very fantasy relevant player.
Andy Behrens from Yahoo Fantasy helping us with some advice for week 1. So it was like this time last year, we kind of had an idea, like, wait a second, the Lions could be the source of fantasy points, and at least out of the gate, Andy, wow. Had that wild game against the Eagles, had another game against Seattle. I mean, who cares if they win or lose? It's points. So Here's my question. Is there a team right now in the league that you can see an offense that maybe is kind of undervalued, that this is a source right now, just keep your eye on week 1 here, a team that might be on the rise offensively?
Yeah, it's a great question, and for me, it's an easy answer. It's Washington. They've got so many pieces in place, right? They have a really creative offensive coordinator who they just sort of lucked into. I mean, in any other situation, any other team, probably any other coach, Eric Bieniemy would be a head coach by now, right? But they got somebody who's had a long apprenticeship under Andy Reid. He's won a couple Super Bowls. It should be just a super creative, fun offense. They have a playmaking quarterback who they kind of also lucked into, right? Like, they take Sam Howell really late. If that kid would have left college a year earlier, he would have been a first-round pick. He's got plenty of arm. He's got a lot of mobility. Had a great camp in preseason, so Howell's fun. Then you look at the 2 starting receivers, McLaurin and Jahan Dotson. There's not many teams that have a better receiving tandem than that. And then you look at the backfield. They got Brian Robinson, who's pretty serviceable last year, and Antonio Gibson has a couple of 1,000-yard seasons already on his resume. He's a great receiving option. Like, they're pretty loaded with weapons. And if the offense is sort of schemed up the way we think it might be, and in all the sort of fun flourishes that you can expect from a Reid protege, and the quarterback is real, Washington could really explode. And then they get off to just it's such a good matchup this week. It's Arizona. We don't even really know if Arizona's trying to win, right? But that's not going to be a particularly good defense. So there's a real chance for Washington to put up a big number and get really interesting this week.
Andy, if we can stay in the Delmarva region for a second and look at Baltimore and that offense, and I think to myself, all right, it's almost like there's too many options. If you could have one share of that Baltimore offense, which player are you taking?
Oh, that's an easy call. That's Lamar. Because you're so right. We don't exactly know what this passing game is going to look like and what the offense is going to look like. The one thing we're certain about, though, is it's going to be different. Because this is, we've got a new OC in town, and Todd Monken has actually delivered some of the highest volume passing games that we've seen in recent years, right? Like, he was on hand for those sort of wild and frenetic Jameis Winston, Ryan Fitzpatrick years in Tampa Bay, right? Like, he's delivered 600 attempt offenses before. I don't think we're going to get that, but everything that Baltimore has done this offseason is just screaming at us that they intend to throw the ball more. Odell Beckham, they draft Zay Flowers, right? Like they re-up with Lamar at a pretty big number. So this is probably going to be pretty fun. And if Lamar just, if we just get out of the sort of era in which Lamar is only putting the ball in the air 400 times, and all of a sudden they're throwing 550 times, now we're talking about the possibility of like a 4,000 passing yard, 800, 900, 1,000 rushing yard season. That's crazy. That puts him right back in an MVP. I mean, of course, you'd have to stay healthy. A lot of things would have to go right. But like you start forecasting this offense at a high volume of pass attempts, and it gets really fun in a hurry. I don't know what that receiving hierarchy is going to look like, though. So that's the big open question.
Andy Barron's Yahoo Fantasy. Andy, do we trust Derek Carr? Because if so, that's an intriguing team here on the rise. And we're looking at streaming options. I don't think Jamal Williams is somebody that'll be carrying them maybe later on in the season, but how reliable with the suspension to Kamara is he, at least here at the outset?
Yeah, they put themselves in a situation where they have Jamal Williams and they have Kendra Miller, a rookie who's really interesting, but he's been dinged. He's missed a lot of camp. So it sure looks like, at least in week one, that's entirely Jamal Williams' backfield. Like he could end up playing 90+% of the snaps. And even in what we expect to be a difficult matchup, like Tennessee was super lopsided defensively last year, right? They were number 1 against the run. They were number 32 against the pass. If we're going based off of, expectations that were set in 2022, you'd say, oh, Derek Carr is going to put the ball in the air 40 times. But Jamal Williams is still barely going to come off the field. So he's one of the few guys who's really locked into 20+ touches. And so I think you have to start that and just sort of hope and trust that, one or two of those, he's going to have a chance to break. One or two of those, they're going to be inside the 5-yard line, 10-yard line, right? So I think Williams is a strong starter. We're obviously not, in a week without buys and significant injuries, you're not going to start Derek Carr. But I do think he can drive a pretty effective offense. So I feel pretty good about Michael Thomas for as long as he's healthy. I feel great about Chris Olave, who has a real chance to make a leap, perhaps even into the first round next year.
Andy, by this time, most everybody has gone through their fantasy draft, and we're just waiting for the football to get underway. But what I love about this time of year is you can look at the guys that are out there. You can look at the guys that you targeted in your draft, some of the guys that you maybe have gotten in your draft. And you could kind of picture, paint a picture in your mind of that guy being a league winner. And I'm sure you have some players going into this season that you have circled as like, oh, that's a guy that can win you a league. My guy was Anthony Richardson. I'm like, if you can get Anthony Richardson late, and if Anthony Richardson does, let's say, what Cam Newton did his rookie year, you might have yourself a league winner. Do you have any of those guys in mind, Andy?
Yeah, and I'm glad you sort of frame it that way, because I always like to tell people, for all the detailed prognostication we do and all the, we've got takes on literally every player. Fantasy football is it's the NFL, so it's ruled by chaos and injuries and suspensions and more injuries, right? And winning in this game is really about landing one or two of those golden ticket players each year. That's what it's about. It is like you're going to look back at even the best teams in your fantasy portfolio, and you look back at those drafts, and you'll be like, "Oh my God, that's a terrible draft. I cut a third of those guys right away. Another third got hurt." But what you're also going to say of the winningest teams is that, man, I nailed the quarterback position, and I got the right wide receiver in fantasy football, and it mmade all the difference, right? So, yeah, that's a lot of preamble there. I think some of those guys this season. First of all, I want to back up and say one thing about Richardson. I think it's pretty unfair to Anthony Richardson that everybody comps him to Cam Newton. Because he's just at a different place developmentally, and that's, I don't mean that as an insult. What I mean is that Cam Newton had just produced the single greatest college football season in history.
Sure.
Right? Cam Newton had just given us 50 touchdowns, undefeated, 14-0, a perfect season. And Richardson is just, he's at a different spot.
He has some rough edges. Yeah.
Yeah, so if we get the big Anthony Richardson season in 2024, that's fine, because it's just they're just at different places. my guys who I think can like legitimately win leagues, I would put Tony Pollard in that conversation because he finished last year as the overall RB8, and he didn't even get red zone touches. He wasn't even in the top 30 in the league in red zone touches because all that work went to Zeke Elliott. If he just gets a big old slice of what Zeke got last year, he doesn't even have to get to 300 touches. Let's just give Tony Pollard 275 touches and see what happens. He could be the RB1 overall. I think Justin Fields, those guys, because again, he just gave us 1,100 rushing yards. If DJ Moore doesn't even have to make the impact that AJ Brown did in Philly or that Steph Diggs did in Buffalo. He just needs to have one of those regular old DJ Moore seasons where he gets open instantaneously, and he's just a great outlet for a young quarterback. That's what the Bears need. Like, if we can just get Justin Fields to like 3,500 passing yards, 3,400 passing yards, and he's still the same rushing quarterback, now he's going to sail to a top 3 positional finish, and I think he has a chance to be a league winner. At receiver, I will just throw out Chris Olave. The Saints last year, man, they threw him in the deep end of the pool right away, right? Like he had an average depth target of like over 14 yards. They didn't give him anything easy. If we can just get Chris Olave some layups in addition to the deep high yield stuff that he was doing last year, now we're talking about somebody who's got a shot at like 1,300, 1,400 yards.
Andy Barron's Yahoo Fantasy, our guest, as we're all setting our lineups for week 1, or maybe you're not happy with something at the end, and you got a piece up right now at Yahoo, and it kind of leads me to believe that maybe there are some gems right now in Yahoo leagues that are still sitting out there on the wire. Do we like Van Jefferson, knowing that Cooper Kupp is not available here? Is that a helpful piece? Are there any guys you're seeing right now available in the majority of leagues, Andy, that we should consider?
Yeah, Jefferson's a good name. Not that I think that Van Jefferson is like. I don't mean to phrase it as if like Cooper Kupp isn't a role, right? That's just a singularly great player, and so nobody's going to just step in and be 12 catches and 180 yards and do Cooper Kupp things. But Van Jefferson's a good player, and the season that he delivered just a couple years ago was really impressive. And they'll take some deep shots to him, but he can be a little bit more than that. And at significant volume for as long as Matthew Stafford is healthy, I think Van Jefferson is going to be a pretty good option. You can think of him as like a sort of low end wide receiver too. Other guys that I think are on the wire in most leagues right now who should be scooped up, Marvin Mims, rookie receiver in Denver. Like there's so many injuries in that receiving core, and they've been such underwhelming receivers anyway. That I think Mims can really step into a big role. He was the first draft pick of the Sean Payton era. He's got like 4.3 speed. He's got a 40-inch vertical. Super productive in college. Like Mims can be their number 1 receiver this year. Sean Tucker, I think, really interesting. He's the number 2 running back in Tampa Bay right now, but he's playing behind Rachaad White, a guy who was, I was pretty optimistic about White last year, but he just did not make enough people miss. Did not have a particularly productive season, and I can see Sean Tucker carving out a role almost right away.
Yeah, Sean Tucker was that whole orange team the last 2 years, Andy. We watched him up close there, and so whatever it was at the Combine with the heart, we don't have to worry about that. They're going to keep tabs on that?
Well, the Bucs doctors cleared him. It's the wildest story because I think, I think if that had not come up at the Combine, he's probably a day 2 pick. And he probably would have been somebody that we were all buzzing about, in May. And obviously then everybody takes him off draft boards. Nobody's thinking about him. But, the Bucs put in time and their doctors cleared him. And obviously we only know so much about what the condition is, but he's been playing. He's been a full go, and he just sort of outright won that number 2 running back job. And I'd be surprised if they don't mix him in right away. Again, because it's not like White was just a big play waiting to happen every week last season. I mean, he and Fournette really struggled last year, and they struggled making people miss. And I can see Tucker stepping into 10 touches right away.
Andy, we're doing our bold predictions for the 2023 season today, and I'm going to share my bold prediction for which rookie running back I think leads the league in rushing. Who do you have?
Who who do I think is going to be the best rookie
running back leads the league in rushing yards this season?
Yeah, I don't think I think that Bijan Robinson did almost everything better than any any rookie in his class. So I'd have a really difficult time not picking Bijan there.
Okay, well, look, I'm excited about Bijan Robinson. Andy Behrens, Yahoo Fantasy. It's great to hear your voice, Andy. And just one thing, are you playing Survivor Football? Do you need any advice from us here?
Oh,
week
no,
one?
Here we go again.
No. Like Andy was getting into this last year. Do you remember? And
Andy always prefaces it with the same thing. Like, this is not his game. Survivor is not his struggle. Andy, Gene fashions himself an expert. He wants to do you the solid. You come on and give us fantasy advice, so he would like to give you Survivor.
My small, tiny contribution.
Absolutely notorious for losing. Oftentimes not even in just week one. I'm often out by Thursday night in week one. That's happened to me multiple times. So
Same.
I need advice in Survivor. I will tell you that I'm in a couple of pools. I took Seattle in one. I have Washington in the other. I have to diversify because if I go all in on one team, they are guaranteed to lose.
What, Andy, give us the schedule for this weekend as we're setting our lineups and getting ready to just sit around and be sloths all day on Sunday. We know you're a part of that routine.
Well, the most important thing I can tell you is that Fantasy Football Live, our pregame show this year, is moving to Thursday nights. We're going to be on air tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. About an hour and 15 minutes before kickoff, and we're going to go through the full slate. It's going to be the usual show. We're also going to have a special focus on the Thursday night game, so really looking forward to that. We've got a slightly different cast this year. It's going to be so much fun. And then still on Sunday mornings, we're going to be cranking out some videos pregame, going over actives, inactives, all that good stuff.
Andy, appreciate you, and good luck week one here. Thanks so much.
It's so good to be back with you guys. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it. Andy Behrens, Yahoo Fantasy, helping you set your lineup for week one, giving you some fantasy strategy there as we get ready for the NFL season, which gets underway tonight.
I think we have an NFL Hall of Famer joining us next week, so we got to figure out the timing with Andy next week. So,
yes.
Yeah, so Andy, so we'll figure it out next week. We'll keep you updated.
All right, let's get to I'll drink to that next. In fact, today being bold prediction day, I mean, I'm just going to put it right out there. Our takes today are really NFL centric.
Oh, well, listen, I've got a couple takes here. My week one matchup. And again, I just find myself going with the chalk in all these games. I'm not that guy. What could go wrong? But this one, this one looks too good to be true. I think we need to discuss this matchup out in Seattle here.
Okay.
Also, I have proof that there won't be a season 2. When I'm going to tell you which quarterback actually turned down season 2 of Netflix's quarterback series, where, if this guy's not going to do it, then nobody's going to do it.
I'll drink to that is on the way next in the Sports Bar Danger and Battaglia on the Fan Rochester. Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. It's me, Mike Danger, for FanDuel Sportsbook, the official partner of 95.7 The Fan. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Mike and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. 21 plus and physically present in New York. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. For help with the gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. NFL Sunday Ticket offer ends 9/18/23. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account and current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews. Cancel anytime.
Odyssey has sports for every fan. Keep up with your favorite teams from across the country.
Or FAN 866-432-6. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
NFL kickoff. Happy New Year. It's time for I'll Drink to That. Some takes on tap in the Sports Bar.
Yeah, and again, if you have your bold predictions, you're welcome to call us at 866-4326, 866-4FAN. But here's the deal. I'm not going to take them off the air. Okay,
Oh, you gotta come on here.
Yeah, I'm way too busy here.
Yeah.
Guess what? Because who's our producer? No one.
No one.
It's just that's the big secret here. It's just Danger and I.
You come
so.
into the Sports Bar. Come into the Sports Bar. Come correct. Put your name on it. Don't be afraid. Don't be a coward. Come on the air with us and tell us what you think will happen this season in the NFL. Bold prediction. It's bold prediction day in the Sports Bar.
Now, this isn't a bold prediction. This is just a regular old sports take, okay? I am convinced, Mike Danger, there will not be a season 2 of Netflix quarterback show. Why? They can't even get Mr. Unlimited to do it.
Oh, no.
Russell Wilson, that's got to be his dream, right? Not to be a quarterback, dream to be a reality TV show personality starring himself. And he says he doesn't want to do it. Here's my read about this. It's about the money. It always is about the money. When we talked to Josh Allen about it here in the Sports Bar over camp, well, he sat squarely on the fence. Look, if the dollars aren't there, then why bother with it?
Let's ride. Let's ride.
Broncos.
Let's ride.
Perfect.
Okay.
One more time. Broncos country. Let's ride.
Broncos country. Let's ride.
Perfect.
Broncos country. Let's ride. Broncos country. Let's ride.
Sean Payton's going to have zero tolerance for that.
When I heard what Sean Payton said, when that quote became available yesterday about Russell Wilson not running for office, stop kissing those effing babies, whatever, stop worrying about Russell Inc., I actually believe Denver is going to be competent this year. If that's actually true. If what Payton is putting on Russ is true, yeah, stop worrying about what you're doing off the field and worry about what you're doing on the field, pal. I love that. If I may, can I share another one of my bold predictions? And I don't even know really, you're going to fight me on this to say this isn't even a bold prediction, but I've been saying it since the end of last year, and I'm going to stick to it. The Steelers are a 10-win team. They're going to make the postseason this year. And everybody wants to talk about the AFC North. They talk about the Bengals. In the East, they talk about the Jets. They talk about the Dolphins. Look, these organizations, they didn't just become functional overnight. Yeah, they're good players on those teams. There's a lot of talent. The Bengals have a lot of talent that still haven't gotten paid. And for every time that they say, I'm not worried about it, I'm not thinking about the contract, it's in your mind. It's in the back of your mind. You want yours. Your career is short in the NFL. The Jets and the Dolphins should be improved, but they're going to get in their own way. This is the way they always do. The Steelers remain a franchise that other franchises model themselves after. Any team in the NFL would take Mike Tomlin as their head coach today. Kenny Pickett will emerge as a leader for the Steelers offense. He's the singular offensive captain for the team. Our guy George Pickens will just wow us with his eye-popping skills. TJ Watt will reclaim his throne as Defensive Player of the Year. I'm not saying they're winning the Super Bowl, but the Steelers are making the postseason. They're getting at least 10 wins this year.
No, not at least. It's the number, please, por favor.
10.
It was like 8.5 is what the over-under is. That's an easy bet over on the Steelers, I would say.
I'm taking the over on that. Yeah. That's one of my bold predictions.
I will allow it because you've been saying this, like you said, since the offseason.
Yeah.
And you're just identifying it right now. But if you said this back in February, very bold in February, it doesn't seem so bold.
Well, if
now.
all we look at in a vacuum is how they looked against the Bills last year, you'd think I'm crazy for saying what I'm saying. And I think that game was an aberration. I don't believe that the Bills were as good as they were in that game. Clearly they weren't, because if they were as good as they were in that game, they would have won the Super Bowl. They played a near perfect game, and I don't think the Steelers were nearly as bad as they were in that game either. It's always somewhere in the middle. And the Steelers last year had to deal with that Watt injury and some other adversities, a rookie quarterback. I think this year they're back in the postseason.
A week one game that I think will tell a story. Spotlighting today. Seahawks hosting the Rams. The Hawks minus the 5.5. What am I missing here? This looks like a comfortable cover, right? Especially with Cooper Kupp being out. And really, I don't think this has anything to do with Seattle. Nothing to do with Seattle, okay? It's about the Rams. Who exactly is Matthew Stafford throwing to? Van Jefferson? Ooh, do we even trust Matthew Stafford at this point? Probably not. Sean McVay was ready to bolt. He came back for a reason, and that's this. The secret tank. I think he's on board with this danger. He couldn't have come back trying to scratch out 6, 7, 8 wins just to be farting around. The Rams laid down here.
I don't know, man. There's something about that really leads me to believe that Sean McVay, he's back for the check, but if it doesn't go well this year, he's gone. He's got a career in TV if he wants, and he can be an analyst on Fox. He replaces Jimmy Johnson. He could be the next guy that just, Super Bowl winning coach, charismatic, really, really like good memory, speaks very well. He's a guy that has a future in TV, and I think he knows it.
Boy, that would be an upgrade. Like Jimmy Johnson way back in the day. Boy, outspoken. I wanted to hear what he has to say. Now it's like, all right. You're just the old guy.
McVay has a personality, too. Like, he laughs and he jokes at other teams' expense. Like, when Belichick drafted the guy, it was a couple of years ago, and McVay...
No, this was his past draft. Oh!
Yeah. No, so this school is off the board. Appalachians... No, it was like Chattanooga is off the board or something like that.
Yeah, we had him as a 6th rounder.
Right. Yeah, so, like, McVay, to me, feels like he's back this year just to collect the paycheck, recognizing, hey, we won our Super Bowl. We're still paying for those sins. Matthew Stafford is dust at this point. Everybody's just riding it out. When he knows that it's all done, and it could be as soon as the end of this season, yeah, he's going to go on to other things. But this Rams team, not a great roster. Not a great roster at all. Do the Seahawks cover? It's a divisional game. I think that's why I struggle with it. It's week one, and it's a divisional game, and the Rams with Matt Stafford, they could win that game. They could beat Seattle. Why not? I don't think Seattle...
It seems too easy. That's when you look at it like, wait a second, I don't have to cover all that much.
Yeah.
Rams are not a good team. We can agree on that.
There's just not a lot of talent on that roster. You have Cooper Kupp, you have Aaron Donald, and...
Well... We have PJ Glasser coming up, and I can guarantee that is not one of the games on the list that we'll be talking to him about. There are much better options for you to make money.
PJ Glasser, the host of BetQL's Send It In, joins us here in about 20, 25 minutes. We have more NFL bold predictions to share. Gino, I know you've got more that are holstered and you're ready to unleash. You can share your bold predictions for the season now with us at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Don't you just love this time of year? Break out the cozy pee.
Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Welcome to a new NFL season. It begins tonight. The Chiefs and Lions in Kansas City. Tight end Travis Kelce will be a game-time decision. We'll talk to PJ Glasser from the BetQL Network. That's coming up here shortly in the Sports Bar. From Buffalo Bills practice today, only one player with an injury designation. That's safety Micah Hyde. He was limited today with a back injury, but figure he should be okay for Monday night. As the Bills taking on the Jets, our pregame coverage Monday will begin at 4 o'clock here on the Sports Leader. Rochester Red Wings tonight continuing their series in Syracuse. All the action in baseball under the lights, including the Yankees. Back above 500, the Yankees hosting Detroit. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Save half off to any gaming package to Lasertron in Henrietta. Gene Battaglia in the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
I look at the Lions tonight. I look at Jameer Gibbs. I look at David Montgomery. I look at Amon-Ra St. Brown. They've got the kind of skill players that I think you can ride to a long playoff run. But then the Lions skill players on Chiefs. I think the Chiefs win pretty handily tonight.
Mike Danger.
By the way, doesn't it feel great to have sports back in our life? It's just awesome.
There's a lot of unknowns. Now on both sides, too, but I think this is going to be the most difficult game of the year for the Bills to win. And really, because of that, because it's hard to prepare for it.
Gene Battaglia.
I said that, and even I kind of turned it around. It's like you have Patrick Mahomes, and look at how the cast is changing around him.
NFL football is now less than 12 hours away, but will Chiefs Lions include Travis Kelce, the KC tight end, officially questionable after suffering a reported bone bruise?
Travis Kelce, he needs to be able to run, juke, stop and turn on a dime. There's potentially an opportunity here for the Lions.
The Chiefs have the best odds to win the Super Bowl still. Won it last year. They've got Patrick Mahomes, who's got the best odds to win the MVP.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan. Rochester.
It's Bold Prediction Day in the Sports Bar, making our bold predictions for the upcoming NFL season, which gets underway tonight in Kansas City. Welcome on in. Danger and Battaglia with you on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM, AM 950. We sound our best in the free-to-download Odyssey app or on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. And you can also get the stream at The Fan Rochester on YouTube and also on Twitch. Our phone number is 585-866-4FAN.
Yes, we've got some coming in here on X, our handle, The Fan Rochester, which we'll read here in a little bit. We'll take some of your calls at 866-4FAN in just a second. Danger, to recap your bold predictions. You say Steelers a 10-win team, which I will allow since you were the first on that. Also, your first bold prediction, sir.
Yes, my first prediction from last hour was that at season's end, there will be 9 teams looking for new head coaches.
9 times.
And there will be 3 one-and-done head coaches in the NFL.
Wow. My prediction, my first one, Jordan Love is going to lead the Packers not just to a divisional championship, to the NFC Championship game. He's going to play competent football. Packer fans you're going to enjoy this season. Have fun. Now the other one, and you kind of hinted in actually your Steeler take.
Yeah.
Wait a second. The Bengals still haven't paid Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
Or T. Higgins? And wait a second. Oh, Jamar Chase hasn't been paid either? What the heck is going on here? Look, this is the easiest bet on the board. The Bengals are set at 11.5. They're going under. Just by even if you paid everybody, just by the nature of that division, by the nature of the AFC, that's a tough putt to get to 12 wins and improve division. But I think when everybody's looking at each other, and if one guy gets paid and the other guy doesn't, or nobody gets paid, there's something brewing that's not so good in Cincinnati. Mike Danger, this is bold. 9-8, they miss the playoffs. Cincinnati, stay home.
I like that a lot. I just, again, I don't think dysfunctional organizations just become competent overnight. Yes, you have good players, but you're mistreating them. Joe Burrow can say all he wants, I'm not thinking about my contract. Oh, dude, you're thinking about your contract. You're an alpha. You're a competitor. You just saw Justin Herbert get his. You just saw Lamar Jackson get his. You've made it to the Super Bowl.
Congratulations to the Bengals, because you've entered Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins territory, and Lamar Jackson. You're going to have to overpay for Joe Burrow now that you've reached this point. 866-4326. Bold predictions coming up from Dan and Webster. What's going on, Dan?
Hey, Dan.
Hey, guys. Before we get to that even, I had a question. Big fan of you guys on Friday Night Rivals.
Thanks.
I just want to know, you guys doing that again this year, and did I already miss a week of it?
Yes, you did. We were in Victor. We had the privilege of calling Victor hosting Rush Henrietta in the Teddy Bowl last Thursday night. But tomorrow night, we will be downtown for UPrep and Canandaigua.
Ooh, crossover game.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah.
Well, shame on me for missing last week.
No, all good, Dan. Appreciate you listening.
But to get to the bold predictions, not sure how bold this one is. As much as I like him, I think this is Tua's last season as a starter in the league. I think after this year, he'll be a competent backup. He'll upgrade somebody's quarterback room, but I don't see him starting. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be back into form. Not sure if he's going to be in the MVP discussion, because I think he's going to need to rely on a lot of that dynamic running game just to keep him off the injured reserve list. But regarding Aaron Rodgers, I think he might just hit us with a flea flicker touchdown on their first drive on Monday night. So I guess that's the bold prediction there.
All right, Dan.
And this final one, I might need some help from you guys. I don't really do sports betting. If there's any way I could make this bet somewhere, then just let me know. I'm not sure if it's even possible. The bet I would like to make is that the Buffalo Bills will go to the Super Bowl. They will meet the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl. As much as I hate to say it, they will lose to the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah. And as much as I hate to say it even more, Tom Brady's going to throw a touchdown.
Tom Brady's going to throw a touchdown.
For the Niners. Whoa. Yep. This is like...
That's bold.
Whoa.
That's bold. Tom Brady, who retired and hasn't been seen
out there.
Yeah.
I think if I put $10 on it, I could be a rich man or something, but I don't know if there's any way to bet.
Are you into time travel, Dan? That is way out there. Things we cannot envision right now.
Appreciate
Tom
that.
Brady. Yeah, thanks, Dan.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I think you could probably bet on the Bills to win the AFC. I'm pretty sure you could bet on the Bills or the Niners to win the NFC, and you can
see when I have questions like this, I just go to Mo, and Mo will be like, "Hey, because what he told me was you bet the Niners just to make the Super Bowl, and then you're gonna you don't need them to win the Super Bowl, but their odds were very good, so you just bet the two teams. You bet the two teams to make the Super Bowl." And you won half of you hedged.
You've got your notes over there, and I appreciate that you're keeping score. You're making sure everybody that shares the bold prediction, we're holding you accountable as well. We're going to share, at the end of the season, we'll go back and we'll revisit our bold predictions just to see how off we actually were. Every now and then we hit. And that's always fun. But nobody remembers when you hit. You only remember the wild swings and misses. So we appreciate the calls at 866-4326 at the Fan Rochester on X.
Ooh, okay. So this one, writing directly, he's at AKA Mike Danger. I'm at Gene Battaglia. Dan writing in. Okay, bold or not? Bold prediction. Seahawks going to have the best wide receiver group in the whole league by season 10.
Yeah, I don't know, Dan. I see what you're doing there, and you add Smith and Jigma, and you think, all right, now they've got Lockett, they've got Smith and Jigma, they've got DK Metcalf. That's pretty strong. That's formidable. My thing with Seattle, and I'll get to this here in a little bit, I don't know that they need to pass them. I don't know that you need Geno Smith to pass the ball as much as those receivers probably want to receive it. And how do you quantify the best receiving core in the NFL? Is it by total yards gained by those guys, total receptions by those guys? I mean, just on reputation alone, yeah, you could say that they're one of the best receiving cores today in the NFL, which would make your prediction a little less than bold. But we haven't seen Smith and Jigma for us to say that yet. We have to see exactly what he looks like once he does get healthy and get on the field.
That being said, though, who would have the best receiving core in the NFL?
I think it's the Bengals.
I think the Ravens will give him. If OBJ comes back and does what we expect.
We had Andy Barons on with us last hour giving us some fantasy advice, and I asked him who he thought the leading rookie rusher would be this season in the NFL. And Andy went where I thought he would go. He said Bijan Robinson, the Atlanta Falcons. And I like to say this from time to time. I understand what Andy is saying. His comments are valuable, but I'm going to go ahead and ignore what he had to say.
Ooh.
I have a bold prediction on rookie running backs. I actually think the leading rookie rusher won't be Bijan Robinson in Atlanta. It'll be in Seattle. It'll be Zach Charbonnet in Seattle, just basing off of yards, just rushing yards. With Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet in the backfield there, Pete Carroll may never ask Geno Smith to pass at all. You could actually see this team with 2 1,000-yard rushers, and I believe it's Charbonnet who paces all rookie running backs in rushing yards gained.
My only concern with this is I don't trust Pete Carroll when it comes to running backs ever, because how many times, and maybe it's I bought into Rashad Penny too many times, but watch Penny's going to have a big game here or there in Philadelphia, and we're like, okay, they didn't use him correctly.
I mean, the thing with Penny is he just can't stay healthy. I mean, if you're in Philadelphia right now and you're hinging your hopes on Rashad Penny, what's going to change? Is he going to all of a sudden stay healthy?
I think that he doesn't need to be the leading man in Philadelphia. He'll pop at some point.
But
so.
you've got Swift. You've got
Gainwell.
The guy that they like is the guy nobody's talking about, and that's Kenneth Gainwell. Kenneth Gainwell is the guy that just steps up when they need him to step up. He's not sexy. He's not flashy. He just does the job. Him and the world's worst sports radio caller, Boston Scott.
Is Boston Scott still a thing?
I think he's still there. I mean,
hey, this is Boston Scott.
Hey, thanks for taking my call there in the sports bar, guys. It's me, Boston Scott, and I just wanted to make sure I got my Red Sox take on the air with you guys.
Boston Scott is still in Philadelphia.
Yeah. So with Rashad Penny, it's like, hey, dude, stay healthy for an entirety of a season. He looked okay at times in Seattle, but you know that Pete Carroll wants to run the ball. That's all he wants to do.
So my next bold prediction concerns the Arizona Cardinals, and it's not what you think I'm going to say. Kyler Murray's going to screw this whole thing up. Okay, that's what happens with dysfunctional organizations. Nobody can stay on the task, right? You look at week 1 right now, this is a team that's tanking. What Cardinal management should do is say, Kyler, go get us some flingers, go collect your paychecks, sit out the year. But no, Kyler's a hero. He's going to want to come back and show he's all about football. And they'll welcome him back in November. And they will win some meaningless games. And that will cost the Cardinals the number 1 overall pick. And it's not going to be enough to save the job of James Gannon. We agree on that bold prediction. He's a clear one and done in the desert.
So is Murray playing for the Cardinals next year? You think he is?
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah. I don't know if this is bold. I think he's played. I think after this season, this is his last season in Arizona. They'll move on, and they'll clear the decks, and they'll move on from Kyler Murray. They'll bring in a new head coach. They'll try to find maybe a bridge quarterback.
Whoa. You say this.
Here you go. You're going to bring up the numbers. It doesn't matter,
dude. 81 million dead cap?
It doesn't matter.
81 million.
It doesn't matter.
That's got to be the record.
It doesn't matter. We went through this just a couple of years ago with Carson Wentz.
Right. And that's the record. At 46?
Yeah.
40. They were taking 81. You're talking almost double. And I know the cap is going up. And I know the Cardinals have nothing there.
Yeah.
But literally you'll be tanking next year too.
Yep. That's how strongly I believe that Kyler Murray will not be in Arizona. That he's played his last season in Arizona.
See, when what's the date we're gonna read these back? Because part of that is I want to tag and say he's gonna be back, but usually we do it in January before we get to March.
We won't really know. It'll be a TBD. But we'll know based on how he plays, how he shows up. We'll have an inkling, a lean just based on how he shows up if he does get on the field. Yeah, Kyler Murray is going to try to be a hero. You're right. Like, if you're Arizona, you want that number 1 overall pick. You've got Cliff Kingsbury and Caleb Williams here saying, don't go to Arizona, play here another year, and you don't have to go into the NFL and play for just any team. You could play for the team you want to play for in the NFL. Play another year at USC. See how that shakes out. Let Arizona try to tank 2 years in a row.
All right, remember, bring us your bold takes. You'll be part of the show in January. We'll all have a good laugh, or you can say, I was right. It's your only chance to say, I was right.
Nobody cares when you're right.
Chris in Rochester. What's up, buddy?
Hey, dude.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Going well.
So, my bold prediction is that Dalton Kincaid will have the most amount of receiving yards for the Buffalo Bills this year.
Woo!
And Diggs will be so mad. He will be mad by the end of the year.
Most
yardage.
Wow. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, most yards. And so the other one is Jalen Hurts is going to have MVP this year. He missed it last year because of Mahomes and what he did, but I'm thinking MVP of the league is going to be Jalen Hurts, and with the help of A.J. Brown.
Not bad.
So
appreciate that, Chris. So Kincaid leads the Bills in receiving yards. Diggs is pissed. Jalen Hurts is your MVP. Not bad. Not bad.
Well, let's talk about this, because if, let's say, Kincaid catches 5 balls for 75 yards opening night, everybody's going to go, And Allen will give him a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. That's bold, and it's not Tom Brady playing for the 49ers out there.
But it would have to be, you would have to literally turn Dalton Kincaid as a rookie into Travis Kelce for him to lead the team in receiving, right? Like, where else does that happen? It's Mark Andrews, it's Travis Kelce, and
that's about it.
Yeah. What other teams have their tight ends leading them in receiving yards?
But is he really a tight end? I've always wondered that. Like, how we really didn't see him where he was lining up or anything like that.
And Diggs will be pissed. You got to throw that in there, too. Well, Diggs will be pissed ultimately because the Bills don't win the Super Bowl.
Well, I listen to Stephen A. Smith, and what he says is true. Yeah.
It's really hard to fly Instagram models into Buffalo. He's got to get out of here. All right, let's get PJ Glasser in next. He is the host of BetQL's Send It In. Odyssey Sports betting insider PJ Glasser joins us next with his Week 1 picks in the NFL. We'll talk some college football with PJ as well. Always appreciate when he stops by and shares his winners with us here in the Sports Bar. Next on The Fan, Rochester, Mike Danger for FanDuel Sportsbook, official partner of 95.7 The Fan. You can get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use. You can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Mike and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. 21 plus and physically present in New York. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. NFL Sunday Ticket offer ends 9/18/23. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account. Current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews. Cancel anytime.
Odyssey has sports for every fan. Keep up with your favorite.
Sports Update.
And so it begins tonight. The Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Detroit Lions as the season opens. Tight end Travis Kelce will be a game-time decision. PJ Glasser, the host, is sent it in on the BetQL Network. We'll talk some pro and college coming up next here in the Sports Bar. From Buffalo Bills practice today, Micah Hyde limited. He's got a back injury, but he should be okay for Monday night. As Hyde, the only Buffalo Bill on the Thursday injury report. Bills and Jets, our pregame coverage Monday begins at 4 o'clock here on the Fan Rochester. Rochester Red Wings tonight playing Syracuse once again. The Wings coming off an extra inning loss. All the action in the majors under the lights tonight, including the Yankees, who are back above 500. They take on Detroit. Sports brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Save half off to any gaming package at Lasertron. Gene Battaglia, the Fan Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan. Rochester.
All right, we're going to welcome in the host of Send It In and Odyssey Sports Betting Insider, PJ Glasser. Insider calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Before we let PJ on, I wanted to share PJ. I've been listening to a lot of music from my favorite Italian opera singer. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him or not. His name is Enrico. Oh, what's his last name? Oh, yeah, Enrico Palazzo. Have you heard of Enrico Palazzo?
No, Enrico Palazzo. I have not him Danger, but I am excited tonight to watch some Isaiah Pacheco.
Yes. Right into it. PJ, you're the absolute best. All right, so let's start there. Let's start with tonight because the NFL season obviously has our attention. Week 1 gets underway tonight with the Chiefs and the Lions. We know that Kelce is a game-time decision. What that means to how we're betting this game tonight. That's why we have you on with us, PJ. Tell us what you're liking tonight.
Guys, it's an interesting game, right? Because Kelce obviously suffered this injury a couple days ago. There's no more Bieniemy. And now Matt Nagy has been there a couple years helping out the offense. Andy Reid's obviously still there. But Kelce's a durable guy, and I just really don't know what to expect from the Chiefs offense tonight, which kind of makes it tough to attack the prop market, makes it tough to attack the side and total as well. What I've been saying all week, even when this line was up to 6.5 and now that it's down to 4.5, I think it's the perfect game to bet live. Because the way I look at it, if the Lions go down first, they go up 7-0. You can get the Chiefs at like 1.5, maybe buy them on the money line. Vice versa, if Kansas City goes up 7-0, 10-0, you get the Lions at a really good price. I think it's going to be a one-score game either way. I think it's going to be close. So I think it's a great game to bet live, guys. You either get the Chiefs at a lower price or you get the Lions at a higher number. Really nothing for me on the side or total to start. I'll just look to bet the game live.
Yeah, PJ, let's stick with the pros here for a little bit. One of the games we're all going to be watching because it's entertaining, right? The Niners are road favorites in Pittsburgh, and we're all kind of thinking the Steelers might be one of these teams that were in the postseason last year and they'll find their way back in. Is there any value, in your opinion, in betting Niners and Steelers?
Gene, probably my favorite play of the week. I love Pittsburgh. Plus 2.5. We're starting to see some plus 2s pop up. Looks like Bosa's going to play now that he signed that extension, but how effective is he going to be? How many reps is he going to be out there? I'm worried about the injuries with San Francisco, guys. Obviously, Brock Purdy's going to be playing his first game since the NFC title game. How effective is he going to be? George Kittle's going to banged up. He's so important to them, not only receiving, but obviously what he does in the blocking game. And then on the flip side, guys, Pittsburgh, Kenny Pickett, played 5 drives in preseason. The Steelers scored touchdowns on all 5 of those drives. Under Tomlin, they're 16-4 against the spread as home underdogs. He's great in this spot. You look at what the Steelers did the last 2 years in week 1. As you guys know, they went up to Buffalo. They beat them outright as 6.5-point dogs. They beat the Bengals last year outright as 6.5-point dogs. When TJ Watt is on the field, they're 59, 26, and 2 straight up. When he doesn't play, they're 1-10. For whatever it is, when Watt's out there, they're great. When he's not, they're not. And he's going to be out there. I love Pittsburgh. They're going to win the game outright, but you can take them plus 2.5 as well.
PJ, another game that we'll have our eyes on here in the AFC South, team that found themselves in the postseason in Jacksonville, and kind of a wild card here in Indianapolis. We don't really know what we're going to get out of Anthony Richardson. We know he's raw, but we also know he has immense playmaking capabilities, and maybe Shane Steichen has already found some ways to tap into that potential. How do you like this Jags-Colts matchup on Sunday?
Danger, you framed the question perfectly in the sense that we don't know what we're going to get, and I think that plays into the hands of Indianapolis in this game. The trend that's kind of going around right now, guys, in the betting space, since 2012, home underdogs in week 1 are 14-2-1 against the spread. They have been fantastic the last decade plus in this spot. Now, the concern you have with Indy, right, rookie head coach, rookie quarterback going against a Jacksonville team that's very talented. But the Jags are the kind of teams that I look to fade early on in the season because they're getting a lot of hype. A lot of people are buying in. I've been seeing people all over the place give out their preseason predictions. They have Jacksonville maybe getting the 1 seed. I think maybe this line is a little bit too high. I think Indy can keep it close, can hang around in this game. The element of surprise with Anthony Richardson, the Jags struggled running quarterbacks last year. Lamar ran for 90 on him. Daniel Jones ran over 100. They're going to use Richardson's legs in this game, and I think they're going to find a way to keep it close. I like the Colts plus 5.
We're talking to PJ Glasser, host of Send It In. Actually, we'll give you the Bills here too, but I'm looking at this Charger-Dolphin matchup, and two playoff teams from last year, and both out early, but the Dolphins, the way they finished up last season, having lost their last 5 road games, one of them being at the Chargers where Tua didn't look particularly good. I mean, PJ, I look at this and I think, boy, this looks like an easy cover for the Chargers. Am I falling into a trap here?
Not at all. I'm right with you. I would lay the 3 with the Chargers, and I think the Jalen Ramsey injury is going to be huge in this game with all the weapons that LA has, right? Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, they got Quentin Johnson from TCU in the first round this past draft. I think a lot of people, guys, are going to come into this game, and they're going to say that week 1 is going to benefit Miami because Tua is obviously healthy and he's out there. I think it's the other way. I think it benefits the Chargers. For whatever reason, LA, guys, as we know, is one of these teams year after year. They always have injuries. They always do. So the fact we're getting a healthy Keenan, we're getting a healthy Mike Williams and Austin Eckler. Remember, Rashawn Slater, who's one of the best tackles in football, comes back to protect Herbert. So they're healthy. I love the Kellen Moore addition for the offense. I think this is a great spot to take the Chargers. I have a feeling the Dolphins are going to be a trendy underdog because people love Tua with Waddle and Hill. But I would lay the 3 with the Chargers. I think they're going to win this game by a touchdown.
We're waiting until Monday night. Bills-Jets. I know that there's a lot of hype around the Jets. Boy, I don't know that there's any way that they can live up to all the preseason hype that they've been given. The Bills very quietly going in to the Meadowlands on Monday night, PJ. Which way are you leaning here?
It's crazy, isn't it, Danger? I mean, it doesn't feel like the people are really talking about the Bills. I think anything under 3, guys, is a bet on Buffalo. I was talking about Jacksonville, right? Kind of being a team in the preseason that everybody's hyping up, that everybody likes. The Jets are the ultimate team. I mean, they are the team of the offseason. You look at kind of the teams of the offseason the last few years, whether it was the Broncos last year, whether it was Brady when he came over with the Bucs, when the Browns were getting all the hype, when Odell Beckham got traded over there. All those teams lost their week 1 matchups. And again, I gave that stat about the home divisional dogs. That's what kind of worries me in this game. But I like Buffalo. As you guys know, the Bills started last season so strong, blew out the Rams on opening night, blew out the Titans in week 2 in that Monday night game. So they tend to start the seasons off fast. They know how important this game is, not only being a divisional game, but being on the road. If you can take that game in the Meadowlands against the Jets, who you're probably going to be competing with in the division, I think Josh Allen's not getting talked about enough. I think he's going to win MVP this year. I think he's going to have a monster year. I think it starts on Monday night. I would lay the 2.5 with Buffalo.
PJ Glasser telling Bills fans what they want to hear, and maybe you can take advantage of that. PJ, you were spot on a lot of your college picks last week. Let's point out you had Wyoming. The game we're all going to be paying attention to, well, gosh, the story from week 1. It was Colorado. It's Deion Sanders going in and knocking off a team that went to the national championship game. And I'm just looking at this line, like 3 against Nebraska, like that look. And I read somewhere today, PJ, that one sports book had 87% of the dollars going on Colorado. So if the public is putting this much faith into Deion Sanders and Colorado at home, is this something that is too good to be true, or are you thinking keep riding here with Colorado?
Guys, I think week 2 in college football and in the NFL is some of my favorite weeks to bet in football because of the overreaction. Some advice I would give to the listeners, go right now over to the NFL and look at some of the look-ahead lines that they already have for week 2, because I promise you some of those lines are going to move like 3 or 4 points. There's going to be some big overreactions, and those teams are going to have some great value on them, and Nebraska is one of those teams, guys. Look, I know how impressive Colorado looked last week. I think their offense is legit. I mean, Sanders is great. Travis Hunter's awesome. The running back's really good. I don't think Colorado's going to have problems scoring points this year, but that defense is still a weakness. They gave up 42 points, and that's with TCU throwing 2 picks in the red zone. Now, Nebraska's offense is nowhere near what TCU's is, but their defense is way better, and they have a pretty good running game, and that's going to be Matt Rule's game plan. He's going to try and run the ball, keep Colorado's offense on the sideline. You talked about it, Gene. I mean, the reaction to this game is insane. People want to continue to bet Colorado. It's at 3.5 right now. I would grab the hook. I don't know if Nebraska can win this game because they lose so many one-score games, but I'm absolutely going to take the points with them at plus 3.5.
The other big game on Saturday is Alabama and Texas. Nice little matchup here as you see both of those teams getting their week 1 wins. Which direction are you leaning with Alabama and Texas?
I like the total in this game, guys. I would go under the 54. Bama has 3 offensive linemen that weigh over 350 pounds. Their quarterback, Jalen Milroe, is the fastest player on the team, and their best skill position guy is their running back, Jace McClellan. Nick Saban will do whatever it takes to win this game, and he knows the formula is running the football and leaning on his defense. This game was low-scoring last year. I think it's going to be low-scoring again. As for the side, I would probably lay the 7 with Bama if I had to choose. I really don't love it. I think they win the game. I've heard a lot of people that like Texas on the money line this week, and I would just caution people. Bama's only lost at home 4 times since 2009. 3 of those quarterbacks were by the name of Joe Burrow, Cam Newton, and Johnny Manziel. So it usually takes some pretty good quarterbacks to go into Tuscaloosa and beat them. Quinn Ewers is really good. He's going to be a first-round draft pick. I think he's going to have to be really special on Saturday for them to win that game. So I think Bama wins, but guys, I think under 54 is the play.
We're talking to PJ Glasser, who last week said, hey, Wyoming, take the points. They won outright, overtime, one of the most entertaining games of the week over Texas Tech. And now here's Texas Tech taking on Oregon back home. Are we thinking Texas Tech will bounce back here, PJ?
We sure are. We sure are. Gene, one of my favorite things to bet in college football, when a team has a look-ahead spot and they lose outright, like Texas Tech did. We talked about that last week. That was part of the handicap, looking ahead to Oregon. When they lose, guys, you come right back with them the following week. Texas Tech was talked about as kind of like a sleeper in the Big 12. Maybe they can challenge Texas. Maybe they can challenge Oklahoma. You can't go 0-2 to start your season. They were up 17-0 last week against Wyoming. They let that game slip away. They lost outright. Now here comes Oregon. They scored 81 points in week 1. Everybody's going nuts. Lubbock, Texas at night is a tough place to play. It's tricky. Everybody's betting Oregon. They're one of the most public sides of the week. That spread sitting at 6.5, telling me that the odds makers are comfortable letting people bet Oregon, saying, sure, they can win 31-24, 38-31. They can win by a touchdown. I think that's telling you a lot, guys. Anytime it's under 7 like that and you're getting a popular favorite, I lean underdog. This is going to be the upset of the week. I told you guys Wyoming last week. Texas Tech will get Oregon this week.
God, PJ, and I think you had another one. Did you give us Fresno State last week too? Like, there's a handful of games last week, and you saw that how the outcome. I went back and listened to our segment with PJ. I'm like, PJ is on his game. So, PJ, we appreciate you giving us the winners for week 1 in the NFL. And also for week 2 in college football. We'll check in with you again next Wednesday at our normal time if that works for you. And we'll compare notes once again.
Absolutely. Talk to you guys next Wednesday. Enjoy the game tonight, fellas. I'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks, PJ. PJ Glasser, who says watch for Isaiah Pacheco.
He went right where I wanted him to go. Right where I wanted him to go. Isaiah Pacheco. The Baltimore accent's my favorite.
It's so rich, though, that we're making fun of. You don't have the Rochester accent like I do, though.
No, you've been here your whole life. Yeah. It's ingrained. It's in your DNA.
John Ram. What do you think of John Ram?
Oh, yeah? John Ram? Oh, yeah? Well, I'm going to go up to Buffalo, and I'm going to go get some hot wings and blue cheese. And then after that, I'm going to take my kids to the Bills game.
Den after dat. Not then after that. Den after dat. It's the best. Let's talk a little bit more NFL. Next in the sports bar, we've got some news and notes to share. We'll give you a little, what we know at least, about tonight's game between the Chiefs and the Lions. A significant injury to Travis Kelce that has our attention. Notes from Bills practice today. We've got their first official injury report of the 2023 season to review as well. And a little cap gymnastics happening in San Francisco, as you would expect after they signed Nick Bosa to the largest non-quarterback deal in NFL history.
Ooh. And I'm going to save this for shots later. One of our favorite coaches might have some love trouble.
Okay. That's what we call a tease in the profession of radio. Appreciate that. We'll get to appetizers next here in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia on the Fan, Rochester.
Odyssey has sports for every fan.
AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
All right, just a couple of news and notes to get to from around the NFL here is, of course, we have NFL football returning. The regular season gets underway tonight.
Yeah, and okay, is Travis Kelce playing or not? It's going to be right up to the end, folks, before they decide it. It was a hyperextended knee earlier this week in practice. He tested the knee in a workout this morning. Now, there is no ligament damage. He's been dealing with some swelling and a bone bruise, for what it's worth. Kelce's only missed 3 games since he became a starter in 2014. 2 of them were rest games for a playoff run, and the third was just because of COVID. Playing it safe, the team elevated today Matt Bushman, a tight end from the practice squad.
Not somebody you want to pick up on the waiver wire for your fantasy team.
No, and
don't do it.
Look, the opponent tonight. Not that the Lions are this pushover. All I'm saying is, if this were a divisional game, would that factor in Kelce being out there tonight? Like, it's just the Lions. This is if you had to lose a game.
I think he's playing. I think he's out there. I think he's playing. I don't know how effective he'll be. I don't know how much he'll play, but I think he's playing. He doesn't miss any time. Let's get to the Bills here. Another practice today and the first injury report of the season from the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, just one guy on it, Micah Hyde. That's it. Period. The end. Limited today. Back injury. But the fact that Hyde spoke after practice today, talking about playing with Tre'Davious White, you realize Hyde and White haven't been on the field since 21. That's crazy. We're not on the field at all together last year. So that's, it's a very clean report for the Buffalo Bills today. 4 o'clock for the pregame coming up Monday.
And Sean McDermott mentioning that Hyde made progress even from yesterday. So maybe things are trending in that direction. We'll see that practice report for tomorrow's practice here, tomorrow afternoon here in the Sports Bar. Hey, what do you do if you're Niners GM John Lynch and just signed Nick Bosa to the most lucrative deal ever awarded to a non-quarterback? And when you start to free up some cap space, and that's what San Francisco has done here, restructuring the contracts of George Kittle, their tight end, and tackle Trent Williams, moves that clear just over $23.2 million. $10.6 million of Kittle's base in 2023 has now been converted into a signing bonus, and they added a new void year in 2026, which creates about $8.5 million in additional cap space. $18.2 million of Williams's base salary this season was converted into a signing bonus. He gets a new void year in 2027, which now creates about $14.6 million in cap space this season. Again, just over $23.2 million in cap space created by these moves with the Niners. This is the kind of stuff that you see teams do in order to win a Super Bowl.
It's all the kind of stuff, though, you do because you're paying a quarterback. Are they paying a quarterback?
They're not.
No,
But they're paying Christian McCaffrey. They don't need to pay Brock Purdy because they're paying the guys. Trent Williams is worth every penny. He might be the best tackle in the game, even at his age. And you hit on George Kittle. Like George Kittle, for all the bust that you could say San Francisco has had, like Solomon Thomas, bust. Certainly Trey Lance, up to this point, bust. Well, they've hit on some picks as well. Brock Purdy being the biggest of them all.
Trey Sermon.
Right.
Yeah. Our bold prediction day here in the Sports Bar.
Sir.
We got more coming up here in Happy Hour. You can write to us on X. We prefer also if you give us a call. And again, don't call me and give it off the air. No, we don't have time for that. It's got to come on in the air. 866-4-FAN. 866-4326. We welcome in Doug and Irondequoit. Hey, Doug.
Hey, guys. Happy New Year football to you. Start with my bold prediction for MVP. Jared Goff, Detroit Lions quarterback. Okay. I think he's a dark horse as MVP. What do you think of that one?
Is he the MVP or
MVP?
MVP.
Jared Goff, MVP.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Super Bowl prediction: Detroit Lions and the Buffalo Bills.
Wow.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. I love Dan Campbell. I think I was rooting for Detroit before Kelce got hurt. I think they're not a fluke. Even they went 8-2 the last 10 games. They gave the Bills a heck of a game on Thanksgiving last year, and I would go through the wall for a coach like Dan Campbell. He wears his emotions on his sleeves, and he is just not only a player's coach, but he is a heck of a coach, I think, and I just love the guy. I mean, I'm not a Lions fan, but he's just one heck of a coach. 2 teams, cities, my heart goes out to this year, Indianapolis and Arizona. I don't think they're going to be winning many football games, gentlemen.
No, and at least I don't feel bad for any Colt fan because you had two good quarterbacks and you did have a championship. In Arizona, there's a dysfunctional mess led by an owner who kind of is all over the place. Doug, good calls. We have this written down. All right, so
we're going to hold you to it.
Yeah,
we'll readdress in January
we'll
at the end of the
check
season.
back. Thank you, Doug.
Appreciate that. Lions in the Super Bowl, man. What world are we living in if the Lions make it to the Super Bowl? That's bold.
Can you imagine, like, for the Buffalo Bills to get to the top and that team for 40 years because Ralph Wilson really wanted to own the Lions, but he couldn't, and they would always schedule that game, and we'd always be bored out of our mind.
In the preseason, yeah.
Yeah, and if you get that as your Super Bowl matchup, that would be the definition of irony.
I mean, I was going to make a bold prediction that Jared Goff does enough this season to play his way into a contract more lucrative than what they just paid Daniel Jones. I would listen to that. But he went even bolder. Jared Goff, MVP. Wow. And high praise for Dan Campbell from Doug. Hey, look, we like Dan Campbell because he gives good sound. He's charismatic and he says funny things that we laugh at. But to bite kneecaps, and you're right about him wearing his emotion on his sleeve and being a guy that players want to run through a wall for. I think you have to be more than that if you're going to be a head coach in the NFL, in today's NFL. And that's why I'm still a little bit concerned about Dan Campbell.
Jared Goff right now, plus 4,000 as an MVP. You have better odds with Derek Carr plus 3,000, Geno Smith at plus 3,000, Deshaun Watson at plus 2,500. I guess there's some value. And when you factor in the MVP now, it's kind of become the de facto quarterback. Last non-MVP to win it was actually Adrian Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be maybe CMC if the Niners actually finish 15-2 or something like that. That's a good bold prediction.
I like it.
That's
Thanks
what
for
we're
the call,
looking for,
Doug. Yep. And if you have one, we want to hear it at 866-4326. 866-4FAN with happy hour next in the sports bar. We'll dish out the remaining bold predictions we have, and we'll give you our playoff prediction. We'll give you our Super Bowl prediction. We'll give you our prediction for the Buffalo Bills in 2023.
Yeah. And again, don't call halfway through the season and say, I was saying all along. No.
Own it now.
You got to own it now.
Own it now. Be a part of Bold Prediction Day here in the Sports Bar as we kick off the NFL season tonight. Appreciate you stopping by at 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
This all-pro quarterback. I'm Eddie.
The Fan, Rochester.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The Fan, Rochester. Sports Update.
And so it begins tonight. The Kansas City Chiefs, the defending champions, as being the defending champs, they get to host the opening game against the Detroit Lions. Tight end Travis Kelce, he worked out this morning. He is going to be a game-time decision. From Buffalo Bills practice today, safety Micah Hyde limited with a back injury. He should be okay for Monday. Hyde was the only Buffalo Bill on the Thursday injury report. We'll have the game for you Monday, of course, with our pregame coverage on the Fan Rochester beginning at 4 o'clock. The Red Wings lost a tough one yesterday in 10 innings in Syracuse. They're back at it tonight in the Salt City. All the action in the majors under the lights tonight, including the Yankees, are back above 500. New York hosting Detroit. Sports brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Save half off to any gaming package to Lasertron in Henrietta. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
I look at the Lions tonight. I look at Jameer Gibbs. I look at David Montgomery. I look at Amon-Ra St. Brown. They've got the kind of skill players that I think you can ride to a long playoff run. But then the Lions skill players on Chiefs. I think the Chiefs win pretty handily tonight.
Mike Danger.
By the way, doesn't it feel great to have sports back in our life? It's just awesome.
There's a lot of unknowns. Now on both sides too, but I think this is going to be the most difficult game of the year for the Bills to win. And really, because of that, because it's hard to prepare for it.
Gene Battaglia.
I said that, and even I kind of turned it around. It's like you have Patrick Mahomes, and look at how the cast is changing around him.
NFL football is now less than 12 hours away, but will Chiefs Lions include Travis Kelce, the KC tight end, officially questionable after suffering a reported bone bruise?
Travis Kelce, he needs to be able to run, juke, stop and turn on a dime. There's potentially an opportunity here for the Lions.
The Chiefs have the best odds to win the Super Bowl still. Won it last year. They've got Patrick Mahomes, who's got the best odds to win the MVP.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Welcome to Happy Hour. I just realized we're celebrating an anniversary today. It was the day that it was a day that the fortunes of an organization really turned around. They went from being a middling, also ran team to essentially a dynasty, a modern day dynasty.
Are you talking about Tom Brady getting hit? I'm guessing.
It was 6 years ago that you dubbed them the Kansas City Boring Chiefs on the NFL kickoff day game where New England hosted, as Super Bowl champions, hosted the Kansas City Boring Chiefs. And their fate from that game forward, they've been unstoppable. They're on a run that we always say, like, this will never be done again. Enjoy what you have now because it'll never be done again. Chances are it will be done again. Kansas City is doing the things that we thought we would only see New England ever do.
Isn't that funny? Like, that was an offense that we've so many years, Dwayne Bowe and all these other fake guys they had at wide receiver. And that wasn't even Mahomes. That was Alex Smith.
That's right. We call them the Kansas City Boring Chiefs because they had the beige Impala of NFL quarterbacks behind center in Alex Smith. Do you remember who the running back was in that game?
It was Kareem Hunt.
It
was Kareem Hunt who fumbled.
First touch, fumbles the ball.
Dude, why are you bringing this up?
We're celebrating an anniversary.
No,
it's
I don't
bold prediction day.
Yeah.
It's bold prediction day, and you pick the Patriots to beat the Chiefs at Survivor, and the Chiefs.
It was out night one.
We were out. We were out night one of Survivor. That was awesome. One of the great master strokes of all time. Well, it was good for the show, buddy. Not good for your ego, but good for the show. The Kansas City Boring Chiefs have not been boring ever since you declared them the Kansas City Boring Chiefs.
The audio of that is gone, thankfully.
I could probably dig
we
it
don't.
up.
We don't need
I could probably dig it up. Maybe if somebody asks me to dig it up, I will. We take requests here in the sports bar. It's bold prediction day as we prepare for the NFL season to kick off. It's become an annual tradition. We We'll share our bold predictions. We love you sharing your bold predictions with us at the Fan Rochester on X. 866-4326 is the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. We appreciate you listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950. At the Fan Rochester on YouTube and Twitch if you want to watch the video stream. We've shared a bunch of our bold predictions. Do we want to take one here from one of our listeners?
Yeah, this is our buddy Mike in Sodas Bay.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, guys. How are you?
We're doing excellent, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great. Happy opening day.
Happy New Year.
So, my prediction, Gene took it on the Bengals, but I didn't think I could be able to call in and have one. But your last caller, I think the Lions are so overrated that my bold prediction is the Lions will be the last place team in the NFC North. And, Danger, on your coaching carousel, add the Lions job.
Yeah, I thought about
Here's
that.
my bold prediction.
Yeah, I thought about that. That's a good one, Mike. I actually thought about that. I can't bring myself to go as far as to say the Lions are a last place team, but I was thinking to myself, if they do finish last, then Dan Campbell loses his job and they just promote the offensive coordinator or something along those lines.
Yeah, like if they still show promise on offense, but they're losing games weird ways, that's plausible.
Yeah.
Plausible.
I love that.
It's great. Isn't this sport great where one caller, Lions are going to be in the Super Bowl. They're going to face Buffalo. Next one, no, Dan Campbell's getting fired.
Yeah, and what Mike was talking about there, earlier I mentioned one of my bold predictions that at season's end, I believe that there will be 9 teams looking for new head coaches.
9 times.
And that 3 of those 9 will actually be one-and-done coaches. That you'll be looking for work if you're Frank Reich, if you're Gannon in Arizona, D'Amico Ryans in Houston. I mean, Houston's dysfunctional to blow out anybody after a year. But I think Washington, the Chargers, the Rams, the Raiders, and the Seahawks and Bears also all lose their head coach. The Lions offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, if that offense does what we think it might do this year, will be the hot head coaching commodity come next offseason.
So to review my picks, and I'll give you one more here. Earlier I said Jordan Love, he's for real, folks. Okay, Green Bay is not only going to win the division, they're going to get to the NC Championship game. It's going to be complimentary football. I'm not saying MVP, fling it all around fantasy-wise, but it's going to be a different brand of football in Green Bay, and Packer fans, you will enjoy this season. I also said the Bengals are frauds. They're mismanaging this from the top. You haven't paid Burrow, you haven't paid Higgins, you haven't paid Chase. That's going to creep over into the locker room. I said Arizona's going to screw this up by playing Kyler Murray at the end of the season, and it's going to cost their head coach his job. He'll be a one and done. Here's prediction number 4, and it concerns the Buffalo Bills. Are we ready? Anything short of a championship in Buffalo, and spoiler alert, it's not going to be a Super Bowl championship here in Buffalo. I think the fans will want to pick a fall guy, and I think the fans will say Ken Dorsey. But here's what's different this year. Terry Pagula is now more involved. He's got the title of president, and maybe he's always been involved, and we've just been kind of shielded from that. But as team president, he's going to be weighing in here, and Terry will make this suggestion to Sean McDermott. You need to go hire a defensive coordinator. Well, when Washington moves on from Ron Rivera, that's connection. Ron Rivera will have a new home in Buffalo in 2024 on Sean McDermott's staff.
I love that. That's something you could absolutely see happening, right? Sean McDermott's overwhelmed. You fell short again. You have to blame somebody. You put the blame on the coach. I mean, he's not going to lose his job next in the offseason. Sean McDermott's safe, but bring in a guy with the pedigree of Ron Rivera. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, if we're going to talk about the Bills, here's my Bills bold prediction, and I'm going to paint the picture for you here. The Bills are going to make the playoffs, but they're going to need a win Week 18 in Miami to get in. We all talk about how competitive the AFC East. I mean, the Jets and the Dolphins, and some people are even picking the Patriots to win it. The final game of the season for the Buffalo Bills will be what amounts to a play-in game there in the final regular season game on prime time on Sunday Night Football. That's where you'll see Josh Allen orchestrate a game-clinching drive that ends on the foot of Tyler Bass. The Bills win the AFC East this year, but only by the narrowest of margins. The Dolphins, along with the Jets and Patriots, all fail to make the postseason. The Bills get in, but they only get in Week 18.
Ooh, that's bold. That's going to have a lot of people upset if we've got to wait all the way until the new calendar year. You can hit us on X at the Fan Rochester. You can call us 866-4FAN, 866-4326. And the way this is going to work, I'm cataloging here.
You're
now,
jotting them all down.
It's in my chicken scratch.
Yep.
I will type these up nicely. So, and if you put it on Twitter, or excuse me, X, then look, you're not going to be able to delete it. I will capture that.
Yes.
And we're going to, when we get to a cold day in January,
we're keeping receipts.
We will keep receipts. And either we're going to have a good laugh.
These hot takes will keep us nice and warm.
But imagine if you nail it. Imagine if you nail it. Next up, we welcome in Matthew and Henrietta with a bold take. Matthew, what's going on, buddy?
How you guys doing? Yeah, this one pains me because I'm not a fan of this player whatsoever, never have been. Even coming out of college, comeback player of the year, Baker Mayfield.
Ooh. Well, that's bold. That's bold.
And he leads them to a wild card.
That's bold. Nobody's giving him the credit. He was really, really good in college. He had a nice season in Cleveland.
He had one good game with the Rams.
One good game with the Rams.
Exactly.
That's
bold.
bold.
No, but he's one of those people that comes out of nowhere. I mean, look at oh gosh, what was that the quarterback from Seattle?
Oh, Geno Smith.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, I mean, it comes out of nowhere. Like you never know what's going to happen, and it bothers me because I've been thinking about this because I do not like this player whatsoever because of his attitude and the hype. But there's always a chance that I think this could be the year that he does it.
Comeback player of the year.
I love that.
Well, hold on a second. Who gets?
Well, it's going to be DeMar Hamlin, right? But I think we would give you credit, Matthew, if Baker Mayfield all of a sudden becomes this competent quarterback and they actually go to the playoffs. I think you would get credit on that.
Yeah, and I think
nobody's
there's
talking
always
about
a shot. We don't know what's going to happen in week one. No one ever does.
Yeah.
So, and if they come out strong, oh boy, you know,
week one against the Vikings.
Yeah. And Vikings, I'm not really sold on them.
That's a team you can come out strong against for sure. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you got it, man. Appreciate the call. Thanks for the bold prediction. I have a Coach of the Year prediction.
Okay.
Coach of the Year always seems to go to the coach of the sidelines, the team with low expectations, right? We see it time and time again. This year, it's Shane Steichen in Indianapolis. The Colts will be farting around with a rookie quarterback, and that will be enough for Steichen to notch the award. Nobody expects the Colts to do anything. This is less about his ability as a coach and more about the mess that this team was at the end of last season when they lost 7 straight, when they gave up the biggest comeback in NFL history with Jeff freaking Saturday as their head coach. The pump has been primed for a turnaround this season. Shane Steichen, Coach of the Year.
Okay, we have some more bold predictions coming in on X. This is Chris, one of our regulars. Dolphins and Jets don't make the playoffs. 3 AFC North teams do. Okay. Mike McDaniel fired from the Dolphins. Okay, bold. This one's even bolder. Belichick will, finger quote, retire, and so will most of the Patriots coaches. We have more on Belichick coming up in shots. Chris writing in, Danger Russ, benched by the bye week by Sean Payton.
Bold! Ooh. That's a good one. I like that.
Benched? Who is their backup?
Oh, is it Stidham? Why do I think it's Jarrett Stidham?
Boy, I have to look this up, honestly. That'd be like, who is the backup?
I want to say it's Jarrett Stidham.
Good pull there, buddy.
Yeah.
Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah. Just competent enough where Sean Payton would be like, you want to see how good I am? I can win with this guy. Give me Jarrett Stidham over dangerous Russ Wilson. Have a seat, pal. Yeah. Go kiss some babies.
Russell Inc.
Stop worrying about Russell Inc. and win a damn football game.
I love that. One last one before I give you my playoff predictions here. And again, our phone number, 866-4326, 866-4FAN. Who's going to be the coach of the year? It never goes to, like, the best coach, right?
That's right.
Like you said, it'll be Steichen. It'll be somebody like that. Andy Reid, Sean McDermott. Look, if you're good, you're expected to be good. You don't get a cookie for that. It will go to a team that plays in a super soft division, like you had the Colts, super soft division. And instead of close losses like they had last year, well, they upgraded at quarterback. They upgraded at running back. Yes, they did, Mike Danger. He's going to be the offensive rookie of the year, Bijan Robinson. And Arthur Smith is going to be the coach of the year, the Atlanta Falcons at 12-5.
Ooh, 12-5. That is a soft division. Falcons to win that division. I could see the Falcons as a playoff team. That's not a bad pick. I like that.
Yeah. Not super bold there, but
all right. So a peek behind the curtain. Gene and I, we're thinking and crafting our bold predictions, which include our postseason predictions. And when I saw Gene's, I was MFing him. I'm like,
you mentioned something in this in passing yesterday, and I'm telling you. Well, when
I said it in passing, I saw your eyes light up, and I don't know if your eyes lit up because you agreed with me or if your eyes lit up because you heard me say something.
Because obviously I had been thinking about this. It's not just like I didn't fire up the computer and crack my knuckles and say, okay, who am I picking to win the Super Bowl this year? Here's my spoiler alert. It's not Buffalo. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't even have the Bills going to the Super Bowl this year. Hopefully, I'm master stroking it for all Bills fans.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first on this, or would you like me to, Dave?
Go ahead.
Okay, so here are the playoff teams I have from the NFC and from the AFC. I have Philadelphia as the 1 seed. Yes, they're going to break this string of different teams in the division. It's over. Philadelphia clearly is the best team in that division, in my opinion. Green Bay I mentioned. Okay, Green Bay the 2, Atlanta the 3 at 12-5. And the 49ers, they still win the division, but it's not going to be as clean as Niner fans would hope, but you're there. The Cowboys at 5, the Saints, and the Seahawks. Well, wouldn't that be funny? Let's start with a 4-5. For a third straight year, you're going to get Niners, Cowboys, and for a third straight year, the Cowboys lose to the Niners. So what would be the other ones? Well, I have the Packers over Seattle, and I have the Saints over Atlanta. I think the Saints with Carr are interesting, and Atlanta will be one of those paper tiger teams where they put up the good record, and when we get to the postseason, not so sure, which would set up Philadelphia rolling the Saints, the Packers beating the Niners up in Green Bay, which would be a little different, but again, it's a great... That's not Aaron Rodgers laying down Miguel Mopey. That's a different team. And I would have Philadelphia going back to the Super Bowl, winning at home over Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. Now going over to the AFC. And Peter King sold me on this idea. Jacksonville's going to win the division, but because they're in that division, they're going to pile up enough wins where they will be the number 1 seed. Just kind of like how Tennessee was a few years ago, but you're not going to fear the Jaguars. We'll get to that in a second. Chiefs as the 2. Baltimore is the 3rd, which leaves us the AFC East. Who's the 4? I have the Bills at 11-6 this year. I think it's going to be a little trying. It's a tough AFC, and there's no shame. If you win the division, you're going to at least get 1 home game. Am I right? I'm right. Which leaves us with the Steelers, the Chargers, and the Jets. Yes, I do have the Jets, Danger.
You have the Steelers as well.
I do. I think the Steelers are a competent team, and I believe maybe you sold this to me over time, which means there are some teams like the Dolphins. No, I don't have the Dolphins. I'm sorry. And as I mentioned in one of my other bold predictions, Cincinnati, floppo, 9-8. You don't get in. I'm sorry. So if you pile up the AFC playoff picture, here's how I would have it for what it's worth. Jacksonville gets the bye. The Chiefs roll the Jets as they always roll somebody coming in. Thank you for coming. The Ravens over the Chargers. Of course the Chargers are going to charge. They're not going to beat Baltimore. And yes, I have the Bills at home winning a close one over the Steelers. Gets us to round 2. Okay, with all the chalk winning, it means Buffalo has to go on the road in the divisional round to Jacksonville. They win in Jacksonville. Jacksonville is not ready for that. The Ravens over the Chiefs. Aha! I think the Chiefs are going to be had by the Ravens, which leaves us with an AFC Championship game, a Buffalo in Baltimore. And this is the Achilles heel for any Buffalo team. Yes, I know the Bills won that windstorm game, but against physical football teams, they have a problem. I have the Baltimore Ravens not only going to the Super Bowl, I have them eventually winning the Super Bowl. It's Baltimore over Philadelphia.
I hate you so much because I wanted to, that was going to be my pick. That is my pick. I'll get to it here, but Baltimore is the team that I feel like nobody is talking about. Everybody's talking about Cincinnati.
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. You could argue that that's the best coached team in that division. You could argue that Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in that division. He just got paid. He's happy. You mentioned how physical they are. They're always good defensively. They've got a lot of weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Yeah, I'm kind of buying into that. Here's who I have in the postseason. We'll start with the NFC, where I have the Niners as the 1 seed and the Cowboys winning the East as the 2. I can't bring myself to bring Detroit out of the playoffs. I think Detroit wins the North. I think the North is soft. And I think New Orleans with Derek Carr. Again, I would say Derek Carr in that division, best quarterback. I don't know you have the best coach in the division, but you have the best quarterback. Wild card teams in the NFC, Philadelphia, Green Bay, and Atlanta. So I sort of agree with you that Jordan Love could surprise some people, and Green Bay might not be as bad as Vegas thinks they're going to be. Philly obviously is good, and they'll find a way in the postseason. And Atlanta, yeah, I'll buy into that. I'll buy into the fact that a soft NFC South can produce 2 playoff teams, which takes us to Wild Card Weekend, where I have the Cowboys over the Falcons, the Packers going into Detroit and beating the Lions. You get a playoff game at home, Detroit, but you don't get to celebrate anything. And then the Eagles over New Orleans, going into New Orleans and beating New Orleans. San Francisco as the 1 seed then would beat Green Bay again. And Dallas beats Philly.
Who do you have as the MVP?
I'll share my MVP when I'm done with all of it. Do you have you have your MVP too, right? You didn't share your MVP yet.
Okay, go ahead, bud.
In the NFC Championship, I have San Francisco over the Dallas Cowboys. San Francisco is in the Super Bowl. Dallas gets to the championship, but they can't get to the big one. Shifting gears to the AFC. Top seed, Baltimore. The Chiefs are the 2. Jacksonville wins the South as a 3 seed in the postseason. And of the Bills, as I mentioned, winning the division in Week 18 in Miami and finishing with a 10-7 record.
So we both have the Bills as the 4.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Wildcard team, Steelers, Broncos, and I have the Bengals sneaking in. So yes, I do have 3 AFC North teams making the postseason. And I'm putting the Broncos in there as like a late pick, just because Sean Payton, if he's doing what we hear he's doing, I don't think there's any way the Broncos don't make the postseason. If he's telling Russell Wilson to stop kissing babies and start winning football games, that's called a wake-up call. They're going to be okay. Chiefs over the Bengals, wildcard weekend. Yes, Chiefs get over on the Bengals wildcard weekend. The Jags get over the Broncos wildcard weekend. And the Bills beat the Steelers at home wildcard weekend. But they don't get over the Ravens. The Bills would be the low seed, and they would take on the number 1 seed Ravens in Baltimore, and that's where their season ends, again in the divisional round. The Chiefs advance to the championship again after beating the Jags in the divisional round, and it'll be the Ravens at home beating the Kansas City Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl, advance to the Super Bowl against San Francisco, where they win 24-20. Your league MVP 2023, Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson is your MVP. Mm-hmm. I will go with the team that has the most wins and who is that quarterback. I'm picking Trevor Lawrence.
Jacksonville could end up with the most wins in the AFC. You're right. They could end up as a 1 seed. And if they do, everybody's going to pile on Lawrence. They're going to love that kid. And, hey, good for him if they do that. But let's recognize what it is. I mean, that's Is Tennessee as bad as we think they're going to be? I mean, I feel like Tennessee is going to compete no matter what, but are they as bad as we think they are?
The whole division. Is Houston as bad? Is Indianapolis as bad?
Houston's bad. Indianapolis, work in progress. Tennessee's the one that I'm still like, we didn't see any Ryan Tannehill in the preseason. We didn't see any Derrick Henry in the preseason. We don't know. Like we know that when we last saw Tannehill, not very good, right? You'll probably see Will Levis at some point this season.
If they were wearing the Oilers gear the whole year, they would be in the division championship, right?
You're going to mix in some hot uniform talk as well. Oh, here's a prediction I'll make. At some point, you'll forget to cancel your Peacock subscription. You'll go ahead and get that Peacock subscription at the end of the season because you got to watch the playoff games. You got to watch the games that are streaming exclusively on Peacock. You'll forget to cancel your Peacock subscription, and then you'll have to deal with your girlfriend or wife asking you why you have a Peacock subscription. And you'll be like, oh, well, I signed up. I just forgot. I forgot to cancel it after the NFL season.
That's Is that bold or is that just very predictable?
That's reality.
That's reality. They're going to suck us in there.
That's reality.
Luke in Rochester's got a prediction. What's going on, Luke?
What up, Luke?
Hey, guys. Man, sometimes you guys are tough in the home turf here to listen to. The Bills are going to be the number 1 seed.
Love it.
They can improve their offensive line. Kincaid's going to be a star. They finally have enough receivers that aren't injured. They're going to be the number 1 seed. They're going to beat Philadelphia in the Super Bowl despite inferior coaching by McDermott. As you guys know.
Okay. That'll be the first. Will that be the first time that inferior coaching gets you a Super Bowl title?
Well, the team is good enough. I mean, Allen is better than Mahomes, better than Burrow. You guys have anointed, as everyone has, Mahomes. We'll see what he does today without Kelsey.
I think Kelsey's
and without
playing,
any
but
legitimate receiver.
yeah, Luke, I appreciate
no
that.
number 1.
I appreciate that. And by the way, Luke, calling us out for being tough to listen to if you're a Bills fan. If you're a Bills fan, I want to believe that you come to us for more than just waving of the pom-poms.
No, look, if you want pom-poms, I would like to think that we're trying to bring you takes and angles and things that will help you. We're not here to infuriate you if it's not going good. If there's a concern about middle linebacker, we're going to say there's a concern about middle linebacker.
And last year at this time, I think both of us had Buffalo in the Super Bowl. We both made our predictions.
We did. I had them going against Green Bay.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, this season doesn't feel like last season. It hasn't felt like last season. There are holes on this roster this season that didn't exist last season. They had arguably more talent on the field last season, defensively specifically, than they do this season. So I think there's reasons to believe, not that their window is closed. We're not saying what the national talking heads are saying. We both have them winning the division.
Yeah,
we both have them in the postseason.
Saying last play. No.
Right.
And Stephen A. saying that there's all these problems. No,
but look, we appreciate that, and we're trying to be as objective as possible here, and I have them as a 10-win team. That's not a bad season if you win the division.
I have them 11-6. And to your point, which I like the crack, they're going to win in spite of Sean McDermott. Have there been bad coaches? Yeah. Like a Hall of Fame coach, Bill Cowher, lost in the Super Bowl to Barry Switzer.
Hall of Fame coach but Hall of Fame coach or a coach winning a Super Bowl despite their bad decisions, despite being a bad coach, I think is what he said. How did you phrase it?
Despite
McDermott's bad coaching, they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl. Despite, I'm sure, ask any Cowboy fan what they think of Mike McCarthy these days.
Yeah. That was good, Luke. Appreciate the call. Appreciate all the calls, all the bold predictions. Gino's got them all jotted down in his scratch. We're going to get those committed to...
One thing I guarantee, you cannot read my handwriting.
We're going to get that committed to a document so that we can seal it and revisit it. All of your takes, all of your bold predictions for the 2023 season. We'll do it at the conclusion of the season on a cold day in January. We'll take out the envelope, with the sealed envelope with all of our bold predictions, revisit them, have ourselves a nice little laugh, and who knows, maybe a couple of us got our predictions right. I kind of like Mike and so does Bay saying that the Lions are going to finish last in the NFC North.
Yeah.
That's one that feels like it could hit. That feels like it could hit. I like that. I like a lot of these. Great work, everybody. Good team effort today in the sports bar. We're excited for tonight. The NFL season gets underway. It's the kickoff game with the Chiefs hosting the Lions. Before we get to that, let's get to a round of shots.
So we have some hot uniform talk from the Buffalo Sabres today here on the September afternoon. We also, this story about Anthony Rizzo and how he's not going to be available for the rest of this year and what went into this and what the Yankees did not do. It turns out that, it was outside the organization that Rizzo actually had the turn. We'll give you the backstory on this. One of our favorites in the sports bar, getting paid today. We'll tell you who that is. And oh boy, have one of our power couples actually split up here, Mike Danger? Should we be afraid that Bill Belichick is going to be like the character Carmy in the show The Bear and just focus on football now?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get to that and more next. A round of shots on the way here in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia on the Fan Rochester.
Odyssey has sports for every
It all begins tonight. It's the Chiefs and the Lions in Kansas City. Tight end Travis Kelce, though, is a game-time decision. Kelce did work out this morning. From Buffalo Bills practice today, pretty healthy team with one exception. Micah Hyde, limited with a back injury. He's the only Bill to appear on the Thursday injury report as the Bills taking on the New York Jets. So our pregame coverage coming up on Monday will begin at 4 o'clock here on the Sports Leader. Rochester Red Wings coming off a tough extra inning loss in Syracuse. The Wings continuing their series tonight in the Salt City. All the action in baseball under the lights tonight, including the Yankees taking on Detroit. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Today, save half off to any gaming package to Lasertron in Henrietta. For this and other great deals, log on to GetMyPerks.com today. Gene Battaglia in the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Line them up. We're doing shots. Today's top sports stories in the sports bar. Time for another round of shots with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
I like this. We're doing bold predictions today before we get to shots, Gino. This is from Brad in Rochester, reached out on the secret texto. Aaron Rodgers turns into Favre 2.0 and be traded to Minnesota next season.
Yeah.
Minnesota's going to need a quarterback next season.
Wouldn't that be funny?
It's the NFL, man. Stranger things have happened. Love that. Thank you, Brad. Appreciate that.
What caused Yankees first baseman Anthony Rizzo to get a second opinion on the concussion symptoms he was experiencing? Now, to kind of review the story, all right? Collision at first base with Fernando Tatis. And he cleared the initial test, but still suffering symptoms, saying he was groggy. It wasn't until August that the Yankees said, you know what, we're kind of done here. And, they are resting Rizzo for the rest of the season. What caused Rizzo to say, hey, wait a second, I need a second opinion here? It was a conversation he had with a former teammate who manages the Chicago Cubs now, David Ross.
Yeah.
The Cubs were in New York playing the Mets. Rizzo getting together with Ross, and Ross is like, look, dude, you got to go get that checked out. So we give the Dolphins, as we should, all the flack in the world for mismanaging Tua. How did the Yankees mismanage Anthony Rizzo?
Different sport, different attention being paid to it. It's not a sport where you think concussion or head trauma or it's not as well documented as is in the NFL, right? Like there isn't a Hollywood movie that's been made about concussions in baseball, even though there's head injuries in all of these professional sports. But I think that's the biggest reason why it's just not part of the fabric of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, maybe there's no litigation or anything like that.
Nobody's talking about player safety. The players say they all wear helmets and they all do. Like it's just a different sport. It's a different animal. But still a serious issue. And I imagine it was probably a friendly conversation where David Ross realized, hey, this is a former teammate of mine. This is a good young player in this game. And as a friend, yeah, you're not right, dude. Go get yourself checked out. Good for him.
So the Sabres last year, remember this record when they wore the black goat head throwbacks? They won 10-1-1.
Yeah.
Look good, play good. Danger, in 9 of those games,
9 times,
they scored 5 or more goals. Crazy, right? Well, the Sabres going to do this again. Okay, Buffalo is going to wear the goat heads 15 times this coming season, beginning with a home game against the Isles. That'll be Saturday night, October 21st. They're also going to wear them against Jack Eichel when he comes back to town on March 2nd.
Just wear them all the time. I mean, if we 15 times is a lot, right? That feels like a lot to wear an alternate jersey.
It is super a lot. Usually you wear it maybe once a month.
The novelty is going to wear off. And if you like them that much, anybody could complain if they shelve after all we were doing. You bring back the royal blue. If they shelve that and bring back the goat heads permanently, will anybody complain?
But this is where we're at in sports now, where even in baseball, it's not good to have the actual uniform. You've got to have the City Connect, and you've got to have this and that and everything.
The worst ones I think I saw were the ones in San Diego for the Padres.
Oh, see, I didn't.
The neon and all that. That's what's in.
I think that reflects San Diego. It feels like you're going to the zoo or the beach there. What I couldn't get is like, wait a second, you're Boston wearing that.
Yeah.
Funny how like the Yankees have no, we're not going to do that.
Don't need to.
No, we're not doing that. Yeah. Yes, you will see the Bills game on ABC Monday night. Of course, we'll have it for you here on the Fan Rochester as well. But what if ESPN and Charter Communications, what they don't in their standoff. Oh, if you're a Syracuse basketball fan, you might want to be thinking of alternative plans right now. As well, the ACC network is off your cable package right now, too. The football team hosting Western Michigan Saturday at 1:30, and that is indeed on the ACC network.
If you're still a Spectrum subscriber and you've been thinking and waiting, like, all right, I'm going to cut the cord. I'm going to just do your homework, man. There is something out there for everybody. It might not be perfect. It rarely ever is. You know, you're going to make concessions with one streamer over another. And the reason why is because they all are doing this. Every single network is negotiating and trying to get, why are Turner Sports not on Fubo? They couldn't get a deal done, right?
I can't see the Yes Network on Fubo either. So that's also part of it. But then the Yes Network you can buy for what's their package going to be, $300-something next year?
Sure.
Buy that directly. Women's college basketball, speaking of Turner, because they're part of that CBS package. It's going to be interesting this year with Caitlin Clark at Iowa, UConn hanging around. And, of course, the defending champ, LSU. The Tigers have given the biggest deal in the history of women's basketball to their head coach. One of her favorites, Kim Mulkey, gets 10 years, $32 million tacked on.
Awesome.
How did they arrive at that odd number? Well, Gino Auriemma, UConn made $3 million last year, so LSU making Mulkey at $3.2 million.
Great. She deserves it. She's awesome. She's outspoken. She's a character, and she wins. Fantastic. Now, what are you going to do about your football coach? Because he's a fraud. You're paying that guy, and he's a fraud.
It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family.
Somebody at LSU knows what they're doing, and it's not the person who hired Brian Kelly and paid him all that money.
See, Kim Mulkey went to Louisiana Tech. She's actually from Louisiana. That would actually be her accent.
Her.
Yeah,
yes.
that's authentic.
She is authentic. She is the real deal. She ain't holding back anything. Love us some Kim Mulkey in the sports.
She's that woman that when it gets to the age, she doesn't care what you think.
No.
Does not care. I'm going to give you my opinion. And that's it. So I'm afraid the executive producer is going to be like, fuck a few decades.
Some of her greatest hits included the COVID season.
They need to dump the COVID testing. Wouldn't it be a shame to keep COVID testing and then you got kids that end up having test positive or something and they don't get to play in the Final Four? So you need to just forget the COVID test and let the 4 teams that are playing in each Final Four go battle it out.
And she's so candid in that she almost dropped an S-bomb.
Yeah,
and
very
had to
comfortable, yeah.
She had to censor herself. And then, of course, this from last season.
You have to have some level of 2, 3, 4, and 5 years of consistency to say the program is back. You hear it all the time. I see it in football, college football. You'll see these kids go win an exciting bowl game and they'll go, we're back. And then the next year they get their butts kicked. You're not back until you do it at a high level for a period of time.
Well, that
correct take.
That take just earned her 10 years, $3.2 million. She'll have the opportunity now to actually arrive in her sport.
Finally, page 6 of the New York Post. Danger, any other day, we're not doing bold predictions. This might have been our lead story. Page 6, reporting the Patriots head coach Bill Belichick and longtime girlfriend Linda Holliday have broken up.
What?
This wasn't some fight over the weekend. This wasn't Linda waking up on the wrong side of the bed. Apparently, there's been some drama for a year now. It's been on again, off again, and the Post reporting that there are members in the Patriot organization that were and that are concerned. Now, for now, Holiday is still residing in their Nantucket home.
Yes.
The couple had been together since 2007.
Bill Belichick, single, on the prowl, looking to meet. Ladies, you've been warned. Or new Bill Belichick, re-energized, refocused, only thinking about football. Not that he ever wasn't, but let's face it. I mean, like, home life, you can be a distraction. That's why we have Brandon Bean talking about how he loves going to camp because he can get away from having to feed the kids or pick up the prescription at the drugstore.
Here's my take. And I have no knowledge of this, But do you think at some point Linda's like, Bill, I want you all myself. What do you have left to prove? You don't have the quarterback. What are you winning for? Let's spend an entire summer on Nantucket. Let's go vacation. Let's go to Europe.
What a conversation to have with Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Could you imagine her having the stones to have that conversation with Bill Belichick?
What's the root of this? I'd have to think that's got to be the root, like time.
Right. Yeah, he's a bit obsessive, I would imagine. He was asked the other day about the importance of a long snapper. Did you see this?
No.
It's a clip that crossed my feed. I'm not even going to call it a clip. It's a segment. It's a 10-minute long answer. He gives a 10-minute long answer on the importance of it's part of why he'll go down as one of the greatest coaches, if not the greatest coach in NFL history, because he goes into this level of detail for the smallest things in the game that we all take for granted. 10 minutes on long snapping in the NFL. That's Bill Belichick. So a bit obsessive? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to work with, hard to live with, hard to love? Most likely. Surprised it didn't happen sooner.
If there's no hope for Belichick and Linda,
there's no hope for the rest of us. Yeah, you're right. Let's get the last call next. Hey, we still have time for your bold predictions for the 2023 NFL season before kickoff tonight between Kansas City and Detroit. We've got some good ones all afternoon long. We appreciate the calls at 866-4326 and your updates at X at the Fan Rochester on the platform formerly known as Twitter.
Oh, we should have some breaking news here.
Oh, we do have breaking news in the sports bar.
Ow! It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
Now, wait a second. Rappaport, this is the definition of a hedgy tweet. I'm reading this verbatim. Sources. You're the NFL. You should know this. Sources. Chiefs star tight end Travis Kelce is out tonight against the Lions. He may give it another try before kickoff. Either way, the bone bruise should not keep him out long term. Wait a second. Is he out or is he not? He may give it another try. Hedging.
This is 90 minutes before kickoff. We'll know who the inactives are. That would put it at what? 7:30? No, 6:30. Right? 6:30 would be 90 minutes before kickoff. Kickoff's what?
8:15. Yeah, 6:45.
6:45. So this is an hour before we'll find out who the inactives. This is just him getting a tweet in just to say, if it happens, I was right. But
you can't say he's out, but he's going to give it another try. Well, what is it?
Total hedge. Yeah. All right, you can get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers now from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Mike Danger for FanDuel Sportsbook, the official partner of 95.7 The Fan. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use. You can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Mike, M-I-K-E, and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. 21 plus and physically present in New York. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. NFL Sunday Ticket offer ends 9/18/23. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account, current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews. Cancel anytime.
Odyssey has sports for every fan.
It's last call in the sports bar, 866-4326. Fun show this afternoon with bold predictions abound. PJ Glasser, the host of BetQL's Send It In, stopped by. We also heard from Yahoo Fantasy Sports' Andy Behrens in the 3 o'clock hour. If you missed either guest, you can catch up podcast style. The Fan Rochester is on the Odyssey app. Search out the sports bar in the Odyssey app, Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you get your shows, you'll find all of our guest appearances there. And if you missed any part of the show and you want to go back and listen, Odyssey Rewind, nice little tool inside the Odyssey app. Let's go back and listen. For the next 72 hours, you can listen to any part of the show you may have missed.
So if you join us tomorrow with one of our guests, you may be convinced at the end, not only will the Jets win Monday night, not only will the Jets win the division, they'll win the Super Bowl. Dan Leberfeld from Jets Confidential will be coming in and convincing us why the Jets are the team to beat. That'll be in the 4 o'clock hour.
Yeah, looking forward to catching up with Dan, as we always enjoy our conversations talking Bills and Jets with Dan Leberfeld of Jets Confidential. Tomorrow afternoon, 4:25. Here in the sports bar. Enjoy tonight's game, man. I'm excited. Lions in Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. When PJ was on with us last hour, he's saying, look, I'm not really going to pick a side here. This is one that you want to live bet. I like Isaiah Pacheco as an anytime touchdown score, and I'm not just saying that because of the Baltimore accent. I actually think Pacheco gets in the end zone. That's one of my favorite plays from tonight's game as well, and I think ultimately Kansas City wins this game tonight.
The line has gone down to 3.5 with that news that it will not be in the lineup tonight.
Yeah, I think Kansas City wins. I think Kansas City covers. But we'll be back tomorrow to review it all. And somebody's going to be right and somebody's going to be wrong, right? We had somebody, I think Doug, that said he was all in on the Lions. And then
Super Bowl, yeah.
Lions are going to be in the Super Bowl. And then we had Mike and Soda saying that the Lions are a bunch of frauds. They're going to finish in last place in the NFC North. Somebody's going to be right. Appreciate all the bold predictions today. A lot of fun. We have a fun time with this with this day of the year, every single year here in the sports bar. Zach Gelb is on the way next. We'll talk to you tomorrow starting at 3 here on the Fan Rochester.
Odyssey has sports for every fan.